This morning, this day, man and horse will become one, sharing a ritual that embodies both elegance and strength. Preparing their equipment as if for medieval battle. The field of honor has been prepared. And now, the noble thoroughbred unites with his human partner to achieve the glory for which he was bred. On this day, the fastest horses, the strongest jockeys, will share the ultimate triumph. Over 7 championship races, they will compete for $11 million in purse money and the chance to establish a spot in racing history. It is the day when man and horse become one. It is Breeders' Cup Day. Hollywood Park. Even the name suggests show business glitz and glamour. And since 1938, Hollywood stars have been very much in evidence here. The track itself in Inglewood, adjacent to the Forum, home of the Lakers and Kings, just a few blocks from the Pacific Ocean and Los Angeles International Airport. Hollywood Park, the track of lakes and flowers, and home to the 14th Breeders' Cup Championship Day. It's 10:30 in the morning, but it's already warm in the greater Los Angeles area. Temperature 78 degrees, a beautiful afternoon. The track is fast. The turf course is firm. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Hollywood Park. I'm Tom Hammond. As we return to our roots, has it really been that long, 1984, since the first Breeders' Cup was held here at Hollywood Park? I remember that day. It seemed like everything that could happen in racing happened that day. And my most vivid memory is of John Gaines standing on the track when the day was over, grinning from ear to ear. He's the man who thought up the whole concept, and at that point, he knew it would all work. We returned here to Hollywood in 1987, and today marks our 3rd trip to this track for the Breeders' Cup. As usual, our 7 races will decide most of the year-end championship races and also Horse of the Year. And the picture is very muddled. This has been a year when many top Breeders' Cup horses have been sidelined by illness and injury, but still, it promises to be great racing and high drama as the day unfolds. And here's our lineup. We begin with the Juvenile Fillies. Wayne Lucas has dominated this race, winning 3 times, even finishing 1, 2, 3 in '88. But he has a long shot today in Bay Harbor. So perhaps we'll see a new face in the winner's circle. It might be Patrick Byrne. He saddles his first Breeders' Cup horse today, and she's the favorite, Countess Diana. In the sprint, it's a gender thing. Can Janine Sahadi, a top trainer male or female, win the race with Elmhurst as she did last year with Lita Justice? Or will one of the speedy fillies, there are 4 of them, beat the boys? Exotic Wood is highly regarded, but she breaks from post 14. One of the day's best races, the Distaff, with filly and mare titles up for grabs. Can Jewel Princess repeat her victory of a year ago? Or will Hidden Lake, who has more therapists than a schizophrenic, win her 5th in a row? We move to the turf course for the mile, a race won 6 times by European horses. The favorite is a European, Spinning World, who was 2nd in the mile last year, breaking from post position 9. But the Euros will meet a determined bunch of Americans, led by Bill Mott, trainer of the royally bred Jerry. And Richard Naminsky, conditioner of the Rags to Riches Lucky Coin. For my money, the best race on the card is the Juvenile, with a regional flavor. Favorite Trick last raced in Kentucky and has won all 7 of his races for Pat Byrne. 8 for 8 could make him Horse of the Year even as a 2-year-old. Grand Slam has raced exclusively in New York and has lost only once for Wayne Lucas, who has won this race 5 times. And the home team, California's Souvenir Copy, also 3 of 4 and trained by Bob Baffert. The $2 million turf was to have featured the heaviest favorite of the day, Singspiel, but he was injured on Thursday. Now the Canadian Chief Bearheart opens as the favorite. And finally, the richest race ever run in North America, the $4.4 million Classic. Skipaway's connections are taking the biggest gamble of the day, a supplemental payment of nearly $500,000 betting on a Horse of the Year title. And so you can see we have a great menu of thoroughbred racing coming your way today. But we can't begin the program without alluding to the injuries and illness that we mentioned earlier that have taken so many top horses out of contention for the Breeders' Cup this year. Let's take a look at some of the top ones as we see the Juvenile Fillies getting up to come up next. And here are some of the horses that were pre-entered just a couple of weeks before the Breeders' Cup that are out. Formal Gold, who had a chance to be Horse of the Year. Down the aisle, Desert King. Singspiel, the richest European horse of all time, was 6-5 in the turf. You see all the way down, twice the vice injured, would have been one of the favorites in the distaff. And some other casualties who didn't even make it to the pre-entries, including Gentleman, who has been #1 in the top 10 poll most of the year with the Thoroughbred Racing Communications. He was going to have been supplemented for $800,000, had a fever, missed training, is out. Marlin and Influent, top turf horses. So you see the list is extensive. Not even on the list is Silver Charm, winner of the Derby and Preakness, who was, of course, ill before even thinking about coming to the Breeders' Cup. Silver Charm, though, is back in training. He worked in 34 and change here, and he is going to race again and probably next month for trainer Bob Baffert. So you see that there are a number of top horses that are out. We're joined again by John Veach this year for the trainer's perspective. And John, many people are saying that the season is too long, the trainers work their horses too hard. Is that the case?
I don't think so, Tom. I think it's just a coincidence this year that we've had so many injuries right on top of the Breeders' Cup. The rigors of training and competition, whether it be football, basketball, even horse racing, are going to take their tolls regardless of how careful you are in your training methods. But you've got to have these horses at the very top of their game to run them, or they'll really face some serious injuries.
And you know, what a heartbreak for a trainer, John, to plan the whole year to culminate on this one-day Breeders' Cup day, and then just within days or weeks, see all those dreams go by the board.
It sure is, Tom. You've got to realize that most of these trainers have set a schedule out in the very early part of the year, passing away by a lot of very rich purses and a lot of money that could be in the bank right now to get ready for the Breeders' Cup and to get right on top of the game, and have an injury put you on the sidelines is a terrible, terrible blow.
All right, the first race is the Juvenile Fillies, and let's take a look at the morning line odds for the Juvenile Fillies. Marie J at 12-1, Vivid Angel 6-1, Bay Harbor 15. You see the Countess Diana opened as the 9-5 favorite. Beautiful Pleasure at 4-1, and the rest are double-digit odds. And the Juvenile Fillies, in fact, are in the paddock here at Hollywood Park. And there is Countess Diana, who is the 9-5 morning line favorite. She will be the first horse ever saddled at a Breeders' Cup race by Patrick Byrne. And she's sticking her tongue out. She's saying, yep, that's what I feel about all the rest of you fillies. Come and get me. Countess Diana, who is the early favorite for the Juvenile Fillies. Well, Mike Battaglia is back with us this year. He is in the paddock. Let's join him now. Mike?
Okay, thanks, Tom. And with Pat Byrne, and Pat saddles Countess Diana. Here he also has Richter Scale and Favorite Trick. Pat, I know you're very confident going into the Breeders' Cup this year, but it is your first Breeders' Cup. You have to be a little nervous. How'd you feel when you threw the saddle on Countess Diana?
Well, it's like really when you get put in the saddle on, it's just like another race, but it's a great day. Looks like it's a great crowd here, and I'm very excited. We've got 2 more to go after this one, as you know, and it's a really great honor to be here in the Breeders' Cup, and hopefully our horses can show a good effort for themselves, and I'm sure they will.
But after you threw the saddle on Countess Diana, she kind of looked around at you, and you gave her a little kiss. Now, do you do that every time?
No, that's just one of those Kodak moments. If you don't see it, you're going to miss it.
And I know that you're high on this fella. You're high on Richter Scale, but you are really high on Favorite Trick. Tell us a little bit about him.
Well, Favorite Trick has just been a super colt for us this year. He's done everything we've asked him to do, and Pat Day's very confident in him. He's got a lot of confidence with the horse, and he's looking forward to riding him this afternoon.
The speed in this race, there's so much early speed. Countess Diana is one of those speed horses. Will the fact that there's a lot of speed in here change your strategy at all?
Well, you know, I'll leave it up to Shane. We've never told Shane how to ride this filly, and Shane's a super race rider, and I'm not going to give him the instructions. He's got an idea of how he needs to ride his race, and hopefully we'll get a good trip. Okay, Pat, best of luck on Countess Diana and the other two horses, Richter Scale and Favorite Trick. Tom?
All right, Mike, what a story. Patrick Byrne, who had never saddled a Breeders' Cup horse. He watched last year on television. Before the day is over, he could have 3 Breeders' Cup winners, and they would all probably be voted champion in their division. And if you're wondering about the name on Countess Diana, with the obvious connection to Princess Diana, we asked, and apparently no connection at all with the name of the horse Countess Diana. Having some trouble with the tote board here at Hollywood Park. You see Countess Diana again. She's got her tongue tied. You see that little strip of cloth under her bottom jaw there? That ties her tongue down. It prevents her from getting it over the bit, which would cause the jockey to sort of lose control. It's a common thing to see a horse with a tongue tied. She just happens to be sticking the tongue out the side of her mouth. Right, John?
It sure is, Tom. You see it all the time, and basically it secures the tongue to the lower jaw, and in that matter it does keep her from interfering with the bit and also from interfering with her breathing.
And Bob Newmeyer is with us again this year, and he is right now with Wally Delassie, the trainer of Career Collection.
That's right, Tom, and this is the hot horse. 6-1 in the morning line, bet down to 3-1. And Wally, is this respect for your horse or a little regional prejudice here going in, since we're in the state of California?
It's Cowbreds. They love these Cowbreds here. No, you know, after last race, a lot of people saw that. They respected that 9-length victory and the real good time, so they feel she's got a good chance. Corey's back on her, same rider, everything, so you know, we feel confident.
This is your son-in-law. Share with us your instructions. You said you had to sneak away to give Corey some pre-race instructions. Well, so why don't you share your pre-race instructions with all our racing friends across America right now?
Okay, well, it's obvious there's a lot of very fast horses in this race, the front runners, but we want to sit right off of them. We're on the outside. We should be sitting in the garden spot.
That's exactly what the plan is.
All right, we'll see if they can carry out the plan with Career Collection here in the Juvenile Fillies.
All right, Bob.
Let's go back to Tom.
Career Collection will break from post position 9, and you got to listen in on the pre-race instructions. Wally Delassie to his rider Corey Nakatani. Problems with the tote board are straightened out. Let's take a look at the current odds. Vivid Angel down to 5-1. Lovelock at 6. Countess Diana has gone up a little bit, 5-2. Career Collection at 3-1. Everybody else double digits. You can get a price if you like one of those. We'll be back to Breeders' Cup 14 at Hollywood Park right after these messages. And welcome back to Hollywood Park, Breeders' Cup Day. The huge crowd circling and inside the paddock. It's a grand paddock on the European scale, really, as we approach the $1 million Juvenile Fillies. 2-year-old fillies going 1 1/16 the purse $1 million. And perhaps more importantly, in all 13 previous renewals of this race, the winner has been named champion 2-year-old filly, and Wayne Lucas knows all about that. He's won this race 3 times. He's always been in contention. In fact, back in 1988, he ran 1-2-3 with a powerful entry of fillies. And there you see putting up the jockey Pat Day on Lovelock after putting up earlier Alex Solis on Bay Harbor. Let's check the current odds. Marie J at 12-1, Vivid Angel at 5-1, still getting some support for the Bob Baffert trainee. Interesting here that Beautiful Pleasure opened at 4-1 on the morning line, but now is 10-1, not getting much support from the fans here at Hollywood Park. Well, it's been my pleasure to be at all 14 Breeders' Cup days, and there's one other survivor, and it's Tom Durkin. And Tom, I know it's a little easier this time. First time around, you had to go shuttling back between 2 finish lines, but what do you remember most from that first Breeders' Cup 1984?
Well, just the enormity of the entire thing, the fact that there were very few $1 million races at the time, just a couple, and we had 7 of them on one day, and we had horses coming from all over the world. It was just an outrageous amount of money for a day of thoroughbred racing. Believe it or not, there were a lot of people at the time who thought that the Breeders' Cup was a bad idea because it took away perhaps something from the other races that were run during the course of the year. But they kept those thoughts to themselves right after the first race was over.
And Tom, you know, it was unusual. I mentioned the 2 finish lines. that year at Hollywood Park, they had 2 different finish lines, which meant for you 2 different locations to call the races, right?
Yeah, I was running back and forth in between announcers' booths during the day, and that really wasn't too difficult. It was the case of nerves, I think, that was more than anything else.
So, in other words, you have it very easy today, no problem. Only 14 in this first race, by the way.
Actually, Tom, I'd like to sit and chat with you about old times, but in a few minutes I do have to be on a first-name basis with 14 fillies, so we'll just cut this short right now.
All right. Tom Durkin, who will call today's races as he has every Breeders' Cup race in the first 13 years. A little trumpet harmony in the call to the post on Breeders' Cup Day. Not 1, not 2, but 3 trumpeters to signal the arrival of the horses on the track for the first Breeders' Cup of the day, the Juvenile Fillies. And as you can see, this huge crowd bothering some of the fillies a little bit. You could see the Career Collection was a little nervous, prancing around a little bit as she sees all those folks. This is a new experience for most of them. There haven't been these huge crowds thronging the paddock and the walkways, and these are 2-year-old fillies, inexperienced as far as their racing careers go, and a little unpredictable at times in the way they might act when presented with new conditions. And the first horses make their way onto the track for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And the first filly out will be Marie J, wearing the white blinkers. Marie J is named for Marie Jones, who owns the filly with her husband Aaron, a Eugene, Oregon lumberman. The daughter of Mr. Prospector, sold for $1 million at Barrett's earlier this year. She's co-holder of the record for a 2-year-old sold at auction. Number 2, Vivid Angel, like Marie J, trained by Bob Baffert. Filly owned by retired TV producer Ed Friendly and his wife. Friendly created such shows as Laugh In, Little House on the Prairie. I guess a win today would send him laughing to the house. Vivid Angel already has a couple of big race wins. The Del Mar Debutante, the Oakleaf Stakes. 3 horses, Bay Harbor, Overbrook Farm Wayne Lucas partnership. W.T. Young of Lexington, Kentucky owns Overbrook. They sent out this filly's half-brother Boston Harbor to win last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile en route to the 2-year-old championship. She has a ways to go to equal that, though. It's her first stake start. Number 4 is Kirby's Song, Canadian bred, owned and raced. She has victories in 2 Canadian Grade 1 races at her last 2 starts, the Natalma and the Mazarin. Number 5 is Lovelock, the gray horse, ridden by the Breeders' Cup top jockey Pat Day. Michael Tabor and Wayne Lucas teamed up in '95 with champion Thunder Gulch. Tabor, you'll remember, made his money with English betting shops. Lovelock beaten by Vivid Angel her last 2 starts. 6 horse is the favorite, Countess Diana, owned by the Castors of Oneida, Wisconsin. Trained by Patrick Byrne. He watched the Breeders' Cup on TV a year ago. This filly threw a shoe, her only loss in her last race. She won Keelan's Alcibiades Stakes, but she was staggering home after some blistering early fractions. 7 is Career Collection, as Corey Nakatani rides for his father-in-law. John and Betty Maybe, who bred and own this filly, hope she'll be the first California-bred Breeders' Cup winner. She does have a victory in the Cal Cup. 8 horse Nancy's Glitter. She's won 5 in a row. She became the first to sweep the Florida Stallion Stakes series for fillies at Calder. First Breeders' Cup mount for Havana native Pedro Rodriguez. 9 horse Diamond on the Run, ridden by Robbie Davis, who survived the physical and psychological trauma of the spill that killed his friend Mike Venezia. $200,000 Keeneland yearling purse. This filly has 1 win. She tries 2 turns for the first time. 10 horse is Beautiful Pleasure. Starts in the tough 13 post with Jerry Bailey. Oklahoma oil man John Oxley owns this filly. She's a full sister to Meckie, who earned $2.5 million. First Breeders' Cup starter for 3rd generation Kentucky horseman John Ward Jr. And after winning the Matron, Beautiful Pleasure 3rd in the Alcibiades. 11 is Cariel, owned by former Sports Illustrated feature writer Virginia Kraft Payson, who raced this filly's sire Cardinastra, and trained by Bond, James Bond. She might need some of those Bond-esque gadgets. She has only a maiden win. We have 3 horses in the mutual field in this Juvenile Fillies race. You get 3 for the price of 1. Primarily a half-sister to Whiskey Wisdom, who races in the Classic later. Another Canadian-bred owned and trained filly. In fact, Kinghaven has 9 times been honored as Canada's top breeder. Belizean Beauty is named for the island where her owner Rick Kay vacations. Trainer Dominguez is the thoroughbred trainer now after training over 1,200 quarter horse winners, which is second all time. And finally, 12B Lily O'Gold, the first Breeders' Cup starter for Kentucky-based trainer Vicky Foley. This filly was second to Countess Diana in the Alcibiades. So there you have the horses in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Now we will today be asking you at home to place your selections for the Breeders' Cup races online. It's at www.msnbcsports.com. You can log on and make your picks, and here they've been voting actually all week on these picks, and you can log on today to place yours if you haven't done so already. 23% prefer Countess Diana, Bay Harbor and Beautiful Pleasure at 11% apiece. So the fans online agreeing with the fans here at the track with Countess Diana. Let's see what our handicappers have to say. Mike Battaglia and Bob Newmeyer.
Well, since I'm totally computer ignorant, I've taken a personal challenge to try and beat the cyber cappers this afternoon. And Mike, let's get it rolling with the Juvenile Fillies.
We're not worried about these cyber cappers. We're going to get them in. And the Juvenile Fillies, first of all, this track at Hollywood Park has been very, very fast for the first 2 days. The only dead spot has been the rail, so you might want to watch that as the day progresses. Saying that, I like Career Collection, and the reason I like her is because she's had 2 wins over the Hollywood Park surface. She's the only one in this field with a win here at Hollywood Park. I think the one to beat definitely is Countess Diana. There you see her in the Alcibiades, and she was very tired at the end after setting fast fractions. She's the favorite. I think she may be a little bit vulnerable, and I think Career Collection will be flying at the end from off of the pace.
Well, I'm shocked, folks. Mike Battaglia, again, going with the favorite and co-favorite in this race. I myself will shoot for the moon in the opener with Carial, and this is a horse that will come off the pace. There's a lot of early speed in this race. Granted, she is not favorably drawn. She is way outside, but that may not hurt her because she's going to be coming late. This is her in the matron. You say, wow, she was beaten 5 or 6 lengths, but she gets first-time Lasix today. Again, I look for a big speed jam. I think she'll be flying at the end. And she is trained, as Tom Hammond pointed out, by James Bond, and we are in Hollywood after all, aren't we?
There you go. But I still have to stick with Career Collection. A little note on that. Wally Delassie, the trainer, he's got 5 starters in today's Breeders' Cup races. I think Wally is going to have a big day today.
So here are the picks, and here are the sleepers for the Juvenile Fillies.
I like Career Collection, followed by Countess Diana. My sleeper is, well, it's not really a sleeper with Wayne Lucas, but Lovelock.
How did you sneak 2 picks in on me?
Cariel
is the long shot. Cariel is the pick, 25-1. Let's go get him, Tom Hammond.
We're going to keep track of you guys today because my memory serves, the winners have been few and far between in recent years, and we see how you do today. And I'll tell you who I like the first race, that man's horse, or one of them anyway. I like Vivid Angel, trained by Bob Baffert, who's always good with a quip and is hamming it up before the first Breeders' Cup race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And we'll be back with that race in just a moment. Will it be Baffert? Will it be Lucas? Will it be Pat Byrne? We'll see. Back at Hollywood Park before the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Current odds, Vivid Angel at 5-1, Lovelock 7-1. Countess Diana continues to be the favorite at 2-1. Actually, Career Collection is now second choice. Beautiful Pleasure has come down from 10 to 7-1 currently. Well, Trevor Denman, the voice of California racing, is with us again this year. And as you know, Trevor always has a keen eye for a horse. As they were in the paddock, Trevor, what did you discern?
Well, I love going down there, Tom. I just throw the daily racing form and all the results right out the window. Just take a look at the horse flesh. And I came up with number 3, Bay Harbor, as a standout in the post parade. Of course, coming back here, I looked on the tote board, and she is currently at 30-1. My backup would have been Primarily. Not a big filly, but she really looks interested this afternoon. I look on the tote board right now, and she's up there at 16-1. So we'll see if we can pick a long shot on looks in the first, Bay Harbor or Primarily. The 2 favorites, though, Career Collection and Countess Diana, also look very well.
All right, and the horses are coming to the gate. Let's go quickly to Bob Newmeyer.
Well, Tom Hammond, people might want to ask themselves, how do you get a horse to the Breeders' Cup? Well, they say breed the best to the best and hope for the best. But this is an inexact science, because if you did that, boy, you'd have to pay a whopping $150,000 to breed to the likes of Mr. Prospector or Danzig. But then again, the 2 fillies that a lot of folks are talking about in this race, much more modestly bred. Deerhound, the sire of Countess Diana, just $3,000. Maudlin, the sire of Beautiful Pleasure, just $4,000. So they say that you need a bit of racing luck in this game. Well, I think you need a little bit of breeding luck as well. Tom?
All right, Bob. In fact, a bit of extra incentive with Countess Diana. Breeder and part owner Richard Castor owns a portion of her sire Deerhound. Recently moved from Kentucky to Maryland. That's why he bred his mare to him. And if Countess Diana wins, you can bet that stud fee will be going up. Juvenile Fillies records. This race has produced the champion every year. It's been run all 13 previous renewals. My Flag, 142-2. The track record is 140. And Career Collection, we noticed going into the gate a little bit nervous, a little bit wet. Greg McCarron is down there on horseback. Greg. And I don't know if Greg.
Real bad at Keeneland in the Alsa by 80s. Today she was a cool customer in the paddock, and she's just now starting to get a little hot, but that's not unexpected coming up to the gate for a race like this. She looks terrific, Tom.
He was talking in that case about Beautiful Pleasure, who apparently is coming to the gate in good order. The 2-year-old fillies continue to load into the gate.
It's time for the Breeders' Cup.
And at post time, we will turn it over to Tom Durkin for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies.
Returning to where it all began in 1984. And they're lining up for the first race of the Breeders' Cup Championship for 1997, the Juvenile Fillies. Countess Diana possessed of brilliant early speed and a record of 4 wins from 5 starts. Also in the gate, the gifted Beautiful Pleasure, also quick of foot and a Grade 1 winner herself. From the West, Career Collection and Vivid Angel. From Florida, Speedy Nancy's Glitter. And from Canada, Kirby Song and Primally. Wayne Lucas, represented by a pair here, Bay Harbor and Lovelock. Cariel, the last to move into the starting gate, ready for the start for the Breeders' Cup at Hollywood Park. Vivid Angel tossing her head just a bit, and they're off. And Countess Diana comes out running on the lead. Nancy's Glitter is sent early. Vivid Angel and Bay Harbor down toward the inside as the field moves into the clubhouse turn. Bay Harbor cuts the corner and will be the early leader. Countess Diana is running second. And then it's Nancy's Glitter, the filly from Florida, third on the outside. Career Collection is rating just off the lead, running in fourth. Canadian Kirby Song is fifth, about 5 lengths from the lead. Then it's a break of 4 to Vivid Angel. She rides the rails in 5th position. Lilia Gold on the outside, running in 6th. Leggy Lovelock settles back near the back of the pack in 7th position. Beautiful Pleasure now launching a bit as they begin their run down the backstretch from 10th. Then it's Diamond on the run, followed by Primally. Marie J is running toward the back of the pack. Cariel and Belizean Beauty are the trailers. The quarter, 22-4, and over this speedy Hollywood strip today, a 46-second half mile. And there goes Countess Diana charging toward the lead as the field moves for the far turn. It is Countess Diana with the short lead. Bay Harbor down toward the inside. Beautiful Pleasure is putting in her bid. There goes Career Collection now. And Kirby Song is also in with the chance as they round the far turn. It is Countess Diana with the lead, confronted by Career Collection on the outside. Kirby Song is winning in third. And it's Beautiful Pleasure on the outside fourth. Marie J putting in her bid. Nancy's Glitter giving it up. And Vivid Angel in the field turns for home with the championship on the line here. And Countess Diana is up to the test, and she spurts away, shrugging off the challenge of Career Collection. And farther back, Primally coming up the inside. Oh, a dazzling effort here by Countess Diana. She rambles home to an impressive 8-length victory here over Career Collection. Primally finishing third. Wow, what a spectacular effort there. And there is Patrick Byrne. Boy, didn't he make look it easy in his first career starter in the Breeders' Cup. And Countess Diana, no doubt about it, you are looking at a champion.
The first champion of the day has been crowned, and she is royalty indeed. Countess Diana becomes the 7th favorite to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, and she did it in most convincing fashion. Countess Diana reserved early off the pace by Bay Harbor, right there in striking distance. And when Countess Diana was asked to go by Shane Sellers, did she ever go? She sprinted clear and the race was over. Career Collection in second place had no chance. And here she is, Countess Diana, seeing the whip, not needing to feel it. She'll come to the line in the fastest Breeders' Cup Fillies race ever run. 1 minute, 42 seconds flat. There she is, a champion, Countess Diana. Let's go to Greg McCarron, who is down there with Countess Diana. Greg?
Thank you, Shane, congratulations, buddy. Boy, she's put in a powerful run today for you, didn't she?
She did great. I think she really liked the racetrack. The splits was good. It was nice and comfortable for her. I was able to sit off the one filly that I thought had the speed, and nobody pressed her to return for home. And she's a good filly, and if they leave her alone like that, she's tough to outrun.
Yeah, she sure destroyed this field today. She's got to be the champ for this year.
Oh, I don't know what else you have to do to be the champ. I mean, she's a champ in my mind. Doesn't matter what else. You know, and I got my first one, thank God.
Congratulations, Shane. Back to you, Tom.
Patrick Byrne, a fifth-generation horseman of Irish descent. He is 1 for 1 at the Breeders' Cup. Back after these messages from your local station. Welcome back to the Breeders' Cup, where we've seen history in the first race of the day. Countess Diana still wagging that tongue, and she wagged it at the rest of the field. The most dominant performance in the 14-year history of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. The biggest winning margin, the fastest time. It is Countess Diana that enters the winner's circle, beating Career Collection and Primally. Let's go down to Mike Battaglia.
Well, Tom, we had Corey Nakatani here, but Corey just had to take off. I talked to him. He said that the Career Collection just ran an unbelievable race. He thought he had the race won, turning for home, but Shane Sellers had another gear on Countess Diana, and she is an absolutely deserving champion, Tom.
I know you saw Countess Diana at the Alcibiades Stakes in Keeneland, a race where she went out really fast, and by the time they turned for home, she'd put away the rest of the field too. But she was really staggering, switching her tail, looked like she was really exhausted, and that raised some doubts for today. She dispelled all those, didn't she?
I'll tell you what, I give a lot of credit to Shane Sellers. He did what he had to do in the Alcibiades. He rushed up, he got the lead. It took fast fractions to do it. Today, he was content to lay right back off of Bay Harbor, knowing that she was going to come back to him, and I give Shane Sellers a lot of credit for his ride in the Alcibiades, and especially for his ride here. And let's crown Countess Diana the 2-year-old filly champion, Tom.
Without question. And Trevor Denman, it was a confident ride by Sellers, and deservedly so.
Throughout, Tom, the break was just ideal for him. He broke beautifully coming out of the number 8 stall over here, right alongside his Career Collection, and the two favorites, they're both going to break away beautifully out of there, and really just a dream trip on a dream afternoon. Here is the start, and with a big field of 14, you'd expect some trouble, just a little bit of pushing towards the inside, but you can see the eventual winner there, Countess Diana, breaking beautifully with a white shadow roll on, dropping over onto the rail now to save ground, and right behind her, Career Collection. Could not have asked for a better trip out there. Bay Harbor, that long shot setting the pace, but faded on the turn, and we all know how Countess Diana just put them away. There she is on the lead again, the shadow roll on the lead, on the outside in the gold sleeves. Number 7, Career Collection, has every possible chance, got dead aim here on Countess Diana, but Shane Sellers here just shaking the reins at her, and you can see her lean her neck out there. Look at those ears pricking back and forth. She says, okay, you really want me to go, this is it. It's the career on the line right here for Countess Diana. Just a smack of the whip there, but not a hard one, and she came home really, really impressively. Look at her. She looks like she could run again later on this afternoon. What more can you say about her? Just a flawless effort this afternoon.
All right, Trevor, Countess Diana, a filly by Deerhound from TV Countess by TV Commercial, bred in Kentucky by Richard Castor, one of the owners, giving trainer Pat Byrne and jockey Shane Sellers their first Breeders' Cup victories. And John Veach, I don't know that I've seen a more dominant performance in the Breeders' Cup races we have seen over the years.
Tom, I have to agree with you, and they certainly didn't make it an easy job for her to get it done today. I mean, Boston Harbor came out and made her run right into the first turn. Certainly she didn't relax at all, because she was right on Boston Harbor every step of the way. And then when she took over the lead, Career Collection came up and made a run at her to the head of the stretch, and she just shook her off like a good fullback will, a bad tackle, and just went on to open up 4 or 5 lengths. Tremendous effort.
And again, a little bit of a computer glitch with the totalizator system, which means the official prices are being delayed a bit as Countess Diana gets a little squeeze of water on her forelock, and wearing that shadow roll, and she's had that tongue flopping out all afternoon. She was just brilliant. Let's go back to Mike Battaglia.
And Tom, with the owners of the 2-year-old filly champion and the trainer, Pat Byrne, we've got Mr. Bassett, Mr. Ted Bassett, to make the presentation. Mr. Bassett?
Smashing victory. Certainly a true champion that we can all be proud of. Good to see you again. I hope your luck continues.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Richard, this filly just ran such just a marvelous race. Career Collection, that's a little heavy for you?
Yeah.
Career Collection came at her up on the outside. A California filly, had the benefit of starts over this track, but Shane asked her to go, and she just took off.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we just loved it. We were confident going into this, but man, she's unreal.
What a job by Pat Byrne. Pat, you really had this filly in peak shape, and the Alcibiades, she got a little bit tired. Today, she did not look like she got tired at all.
Well, that's why we wanted to run her 2 turns. We thought it was very important, and a little slower fractions today than there was in Keeneland. And she's a super filly, and Shane's just a terrific ride and done a super job with her. And I'm just thankful for Mr. Castor and the Casters for giving me a good filly, because she could have stayed in Maryland with Carlos. We've done a great job in the first time she ever ran, and very fortunate to have her.
You guys got a champion. How do you feel? All right. Congratulations, Tom.
And Rick Castor also has a share of the sire of a champion, Deerhound, Countess Diana's sire. Patrick Byrne, well, he has his first Breeders' Cup winner and his first starter in this race. Coming up next, the Sprint. He's the trainer of the favorite as well. Can he do it again? Here are the morning line odds, and Richter Scale is the horse trained by Pat Byrne, opening up at 3-1. Fast track at Hollywood, maybe more records to come. We're back at Hollywood Park, where the payoffs are posted for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Countess Diana, $6, $363. Career Collection, $420, $380. Primarily paid $480. A member of the Mutual Field. You got 3 horses in the field, finishes third, and you see the exacta payoff. And there is the paddock at Hollywood Park, where the contestants for the Sprint have arrived. Of course, Countess Diana began the day for Patrick Byrne with some brilliance. And next, he'll saddle Richter Scale in the Sprint. Here's the complete order of finish now. Countess Diana, Career Collection, Primarily, then Marie J. Vivid Angel was 6th. Cariel, Beautiful Pleasure finishing 10th. Nancy's Glitter, one of the early leaders, at 12th. And Bay Harbor, who set the early fractions, faded all the way to 14th and last. And a moment ago, we saw the morning line for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's take a look at the current odds and see if there are any trends to follow in the betting here at Hollywood Park and around the country on the Breeders' Cup Sprint. This is the 6-furlong dash for $1 million in purse money, 3-year-olds and up. And again, a full field of 14. Bet on Sunshine at 7-1. You can get it priced on the others, including Elmhurst at 13-1, Track Gal at 12. Richter Scale opened as the favorite in the betting. And we are still waiting for the odds on Richter Scale. They are 5-1 at the current time. And so Patrick Byrne tries to make it 2 for 2 after Countess Diana's win. It's been a whirlwind year for Patrick Byrne, who at one point saddled the winners of an incredible 9 straight races. But for those who know of Byrne's background, success is no surprise.
My father always told me I was 5th-generation horseman. My grandfather was apparently killed in a riding accident. He died when my father was probably, I think, around 13 or 14 years of age. He had an Uncle Pat that was killed steeplechase. You know, these are just stories that I guess it's almost typical of the Irish. It's just a way of life. It's a tough way of life.
Like the story of Ireland itself, Patrick Byrne's family history is more about struggle than success. But always it involved the horse. And now, 5 generations later, that struggle provides inspiration.
Growing up, my father used to take us to the races. it's fantastic. I want to be a jockey type thing. So that was always in my blood, as it were. Always wanted to be a jockey, and unfortunately that didn't pan out.
But that led Byrne to a training career, and 20 years later to the pinnacle of his profession.
And Favorite Trick is coming hard down the center of the track. Favorite Trick storms by him. Favorite Trick will be undefeated.
It's been a long road. A lot of people know me, know that I'm not an overnight sensation. As a matter of fact, the big joke is that I'm an overnight sensation, which took like 20 years. I think it's probably rewarding to a lot of trainers I know that have been in the same position and finally get lucky.
But most would agree it's not luck that has Byrne now sharing the stage with his sport's superstars.
I can't compare myself with these kind of guys. They just seem like they're on another level. It's always been my philosophy that I want the horses to take the credit, and not myself. I just feel I'm fortunate to be here. It's almost like fate this year. We've got these 3 super horses going to the Breeders' Cup.
Fate has played some cruel tricks too. His father passed away 2 years ago, then his mother almost exactly a year later. As his daughter continues the family tradition, the words of his dad remain.
Obviously, there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears going along the road. My dad always told me, be the best you can be at what you do, and it's what we're trying to do right now.
An unlikely hero, perhaps, but this may be Patrick Byrne's day. Already he has seen his filly Countess Diana win, and he has Richter Scale in the sprint. Here are the current odds. Bet on Sunshine at 7. Everyone else there double digits. Richter Scale opened as the morning line favorite, but is at 5-1 now, and the favorite, Men's Exclusive, who opened at 10-1, has been bet down to 5-2. Crafty Friend at 9-1, Exotic Wood at 8-1, and the field is at 10-1. And the horses being saddled for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. These are the Speedballs. They'll be going 6 furlongs for that purse of $1 million. We'll return to Hollywood Park in just a moment. $1 million Breeders' Cup Sprint. Current odds check. Bet on Sunshine at 7-1. Elmhurst at 14. Track Gal at 12-1. Richter Scale was the morning line favorite, but now is at 9-2. Men's Exclusive, a $200,000 supplemental entry, opened at 10-1, but has been bet down to 3-1 favoritism. Crafty Friend at 9, Exotic Wood at 8-1. The field is 11. As the trumpets again sound, heralding the arrival on the track of the horses for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. That paddock is some scene, isn't it, with all the people trying to get a look at these horses, stars of their division. And this sprint is a wide open affair, just like the Juvenile Fillies was thought to have been. Countess Diana put that to rest, though, with a dominating victory in the first Breeders' Cup race of the day. Will a similar hero emerge here in the sprint? The track is very, very fast. It's a fast track, not the Washington, D.C. kind. This is the real deal, the fast track at Hollywood Park. We saw the fastest Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race ever. And with the Speedballs coming out on the track now in the sprint, perhaps we will see another record. Favorites have taken 2 of the last 3 races in the sprint after faring not so well in the early years of this race. And even though this is all about speed, it's interesting that rarely have there been wire-to-wire winners, only 3 times. Usually it's a horse that takes the lead late that gets the money in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And here you see the horses coming onto the track for the post-parade, the $1 million Breeders' Cup Sprint, sponsored by Buick. And there is the one horse coming out. That's Bet on Sunshine. Bet on Sunshine, the best horse ever owned by David Holloway. First Breeders' Cup horse for Paul McGee. Guided this gelding to 4 straight wins. And by the way, McGee's brother-in-law, Ron Ellis, trains Exotic Wood in this race. Number 2, Northern of Fleet, ridden by the leading jockey of the year, Jerry Bailey. And David Hoffman's has touched gold in the Classic. Northern of Fleet won the San Diego Handicap at Del Mar, but was 7th in the Vosburg in his last start. Number 3, Elmhurst. Trainer Sahade, jockey Nakatani teamed up to win the 96 sprint with lead as Justice. Elmhurst is 7 years old, comes off a win in Santa Anita's 6-furlong triple bend handicap. He's a closer. He set a 7.5 furlong track record at Hollywood Park back in June. 4, Track Gal, a 6-year-old mare. She was 11th in the 95 sprint in the mud at Belmont Park. This filly loves to blast right out of the gate. She's won 2 straight, but she has been off since August. 5, He's a Bull, ridden by Hall of Fame jockey Gary Stevens, winner of over 4,000 races. This colt cost $36,000 as a yearling. He's earned nearly $600,000. His last 6 races have been a mile or longer. He shortens up to 3/4 today. 6 is Royal Applause. Many think the best 6-furlong horse in Europe. Brought out of a brief retirement for this race, he's been working on the all-weather track at Lingfield in England to get ready for his first start on the dirt. Number 7 is Confide, who was sidelined from March to September after stepping on a nail. Quick treatment from Dr. Robert Copeland prevented further damage. Trainer Ben Perkins hopes the 3-year-old colt is ready after 2 races and a series of fast works. Number 8 is Richter Scale, and it would not be earth-shaking for him to win. Shane Sellers already has a victory today. He passed 3,000 last month. Winner of the 1-mile Jerome handicap in his lone start since May. He is 2 for 2 at 6 furlongs. Number 9, the current favorite, men's exclusive, California bred, owned by 76-year-old H. Eugene Reed, said his wife, 2 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren would all be here today. They need a wide-angle lens for that winner's circle photo. The horse has never been worse than second in 4 starts at Hollywood Park. 10 is Crafty Friend, owned by the Thoroughbred Corporation of Saudi Prince Ahmed Salman. This colt has had his problems lately. Checked in traffic before finishing second his last race. Cast in his stall last week, but he's up and back at him wearing blinkers for the first time today. 11 is Exotic Wood. Chris McCarron didn't think the outside post would compromise his chances on this speedy mare, owned by Californians Marty and Pam Wygod. She's 8 for 10 at sprint distances, blazed 6 furlongs, 108 flat her last race. In the mutual field, 12 is Carmine Lake, an Irish-bred filly owned by Robert Sangster, 5 times England's leading owner. Sired by Breeders' Cup Mile winner Royal Academy, comes off a win in one of Europe's top sprints, the Prix de l'Abbé de Longchamp in France. 12A is Potter Raponce, another 3-year-old filly, last year's European champion juvenile filly. French-owned and trained, she was second to Carmine Lake in her last race. She's worked on the dirt track at Chantilly in France. And completing the field is Trafalgar, 3-year-old colt owned by Bob and Beverly Lewis, who captured the hearts of racing fans in their Triple Crown routine with Silver Charm this year, beaten by Elmhurst and Richter Scale in his last 2 starts. So there is your field for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And let's take it down to our handicappers. Here's the best bet of the day. Mike and Bob are 0 for 1, while the MSNBC folks had the winner in the first race. No surprise there. They like Richter Scale with Northern Fleet and Exotic Wood. You can log on msnbcsports.com if you want to make your selections. Guys, they put you to shame in that first race.
Give me a break, Tom. I gave you a cold $29 exacta with my top 2 picks. That's the way I went. But anyway, the sprint is always one of the toughest races to handicap on the card. The track, as I mentioned, has been lightning fast. As a matter of fact, Wally DeLasse saddled a 2-year-old maiden yesterday. He ran 6 furlongs in 1:08 and 1. So I think we can expect some blazing fractions here, Bob.
Well, the Cybercappers are on my bandwagon on this one because I like Richter Scale as well. This is a horse that is cutting down in distance from a mile in the Jerome at Belmont Park. Very, very sharp. Richter Scale, trained by Patrick Burns. He is the hot trainer in the country. He is the hot trainer at the Breeders' Cup. Richter Scale is my selection in this sprint.
I think he's going to be very, very tough to beat. Sellers 3 for 3 on Richter Scale. I'm going to go for the California horse, though, the mare, Exotic Wood. I like Exotic Wood. I like the fact that she's run well over the track here at Hollywood Park. There she is winning after a long layoff. She came back after a 2.5-month layoff and ran this race last time out at Santa Anita, ran 6 furlongs in 1:08 flat. She's got tactical speed. I agree with McCarron. I don't care about that outside post. I think it could be a plus because the inside is where it's a little bit dead. I think she's going to be tough to beat.
Well, it's a wide open race as usual in the sprint. Let's go to the picks now. And for me, it is Richter Scale. My sleeper is on the rail. Bet on Sunshine, 7 to 1. Not bad.
And I like Exotic Wood. And my sleeper is another California horse, Crafty Friend. I thought that he ran a big race last time out. He'll be coming from a bit off the pace. Tom?
All right, Mike. And you got to put Countess Diana on top. I'm giving you guys only one selection this year. You can't be throwing in 5 or 6 horses and then claiming victory. But Countess Diana for the Cybercasters, they're 1 for 1. Here are the current odds. Bet on Sunshine at 7. Elmhurst at 15. Richter Scale at 4 to 1. Men's Exclusive continues to reign as a lukewarm favorite at 3 to 1 as we approach post time for the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Hollywood Park. We'll be back right after these messages from your local station.
The Breeders' Cup Sprint is brought to you by the all-new Park Avenue by Buick, the power of understatement.
Welcome back to Hollywood Park. Current odds now for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Bet on Sunshine, the only single-digit horse there. Richter Scale 7 to 2. Men's Exclusive still the favorite at 3 to 1. Well, this race had 6 furlongs after we saw the mile and a 16th first race. The Juvenile Fillies. The sprint is for the Speedballs right out of the gate on the backstretch, around 1 turn to the finish, 3/4 of a mile for $1 million. And of course, most racing fans are familiar with the starting gate. There's a look at the Hollywood Park version, but do they really know what happens at the gate?
Just like taking a picture, stillness. Waiting for everybody to stay just completely still. And sometimes it's possible and sometimes it's not. But you just got to look, and when it looks right to you, you got to push the button. What happens, we have 4 big batteries in front of the gate, and when we kick on the juice, it shoots electricity through the front of the doors. And then when I hit the button, it cuts off all the electricity and the doors come open. I think what makes a good day for me is everybody get in the gate and get a good clean break and come back safe.
There's a look at Gary Brinson, the starter, and Greg McCarron. What about a jockey's standpoint, especially in a sprint like this? How do you keep from getting left in the gate?
Tom, you're right. The start is very, very critical in one of these sprints, especially as quick as these horses are. And the way they come over just as sharp and as honed as the trainers could get them. There's a couple of things you might do. You might warm your horse up a little bit extra. You might tap them a little bit before you go in the gate. But I think the biggest key, Tom, is if you can get your horse's nose stuck right up in the V of that gate as close as possible, you got a good chance of beating the gate. It's very critical, this start.
Greg, does your adrenaline start to flow when you get in the gate? And you know the starter, Gary Brinson, has got to be a little tight, too, checking his watch right there. How do you keep your composure when you got $1 million on the line and you know that start is so critical?
Tom, one of the main things that you really want to focus on is trying to be as relaxed as you possibly can be. You've already got these horses geared up, so they're tense enough. They don't need to feel your tension. So you really want... Watch the riders as they go in. You'll see them almost slump their shoulders and try to take a deep breath just for relaxation, and that's a big key.
Well, Greg's brother Chris has ridden Northern of Fleet 11 of his 18 career starts, last 4 in a row, but Jerry Bailey is aboard him today. And as the horses go into the gate, before we turn it over to Tom Durkin for the call, let's listen in to the starter, Gary Brinson.
Little stool and help him. I got you by the finger. Sorry, took one. I had one to play.
And right now, Gary's being very quiet. I guess that's the case when there aren't any problems. His assistant starter's doing a very efficient job of putting the horses into the gate. No problem so far, so Gary Brinson's just taking it all in as you see the sprint records. Maybe a one about to fall right here. And let's go to Tom Durkin.
As the field faces starter Gary Brinson. 14 in the gate. Sonic put his in. Ready for the start here of the sprint.
Wait a minute, I gotta back him up here. All right, backing one up, guys. All right, here we go, guys. Wait, just like a
Settle down in the gate.
Let's go. No, Rod, no.
And
and they're off. Exotic Wood bobbled coming out of the starting gate. There goes Men's Exclusive, and Track Gal gunned toward the lead as the field moves up the backstretch, and it is Track Gal to the front. He's a bull. In between horses, Men's Exclusive right there on the outside, now running in third. Exotic Wood on the far outside, fourth. Potter Reponse is fifth. On the inside, English Filly, Carmine Lake racing in sixth. And then it's Northern Afleeta close to the pace, seventh. Richter Scale in mid-pack, he's eighth. On the far outside, Crafty Friend, 4 wide, ninth. And then it's Bet on Sunshine, 10th, and down toward the inside, Confide is 11th by 3. Then Trafalgar, followed by Royal Applause. Elmhurst is the trailer, 21 and 2. A spectacular first quarter here. They're coming to the top of the stretch, and Track Gal has lost the lead. It's Exotic Wood on the outside, and he's a bull. The half in 43 and 4/5 seconds. Confide is coming up the inside. Men's Exclusive and Bet on Sunshine is at the rail. Into the last furlong. He's a bull with a short lead. Exotic Wood giving her all on the outside. Bet on Sunshine, and here comes Elmhurst storming down the outside. Elmhurst flying, and here's the line. Elmhurst gets there in the final strides, much as Lee de Justice did last year in those same colors. And again, a smiling Janine Sahadi with the result of the sprint. Elmhurst comes off the pace to do it here, beating a Breeders' Cup record in 1:08 flat.
Wow, I told you about the fast track, and Janine Sahadi back to back with a closer. I told you this race usually goes to the closers. Usually the final eighth of a mile is critical. Elmhurst storming from way back. Tom called him last at one point. Here they come, and it's he's a bull that's looking good at this point. Exotic Wood is there, and Elmhurst is coming from way back, but he's got it in gear now. Corey Nakatani, who took lead as Justice from way back to victory last year at Woodbine in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, uses similar tactics today as Janine Sahadi and Corey Nakatani win the sprint back-to-back. You don't even see him in your picture yet. Elmhurst will be coming along on the outside in the Evergreen Farm colors, which are blue and green. And he won't get into the picture at the last minute. It looks like He's a Bull has gotten home free. They're just on the left of your screen. Here he comes, Elmhurst with a rush, getting to the line and to victory. Let's go to Greg McCarron.
All right, Tom, I do have Corey Nakatani here, and it's just like last year, except last year he come up on the inside. Corey, how was it?
I'll tell you, it was a pretty good trip overall. I saved a lot of ground on the turn, and turn from home, I wheeled him out, and I've been really impressed with him every time I've sat on him. He's put in some tremendous runs, and been training great here at Hollywood Park, and just can't thank the race for giving me the chance to ride such a nice colt.
Well, it seems like you have a knack for these sprints. You just time it perfectly.
Great, thanks.
All right, congratulations. Back to you, Tom.
So here are the unofficial results in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Elmhurst, He's a Bull holding on for second. Bet on Sunshine was third in 1:08 flat. Well, Janine Sahadi, the trainer of Elmhurst, is a little tired of hearing that she is a tremendous female trainer. Believe this, she is a good trainer, period. And here she is watching Elmhurst come on. How sweet. Back to Hollywood Park right after this.
The 14th running of the Breeders' Cup is brought to you by Packard Bell, the world's #1 selling home computer. By Old Spice High Endurance Deodorant for long-lasting odor protection. Now you've got proof, not promises. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Corey Nakatani celebrating his third Breeders' Cup victory. He had 2 last year, the sprint and the distaff. He repeats in the sprint aboard Elmhurst, and he leaps off, and Janine Sahadi has to catch him. That's a pretty good partnership. Let's go to the payout now as Elmhurst, double-digit odds, returning 35, 20, 15, 80, and 1040. He's a Bull second. Bet on Sunshine third. That exacta $395. And again, the time was a Breeders' Cup record 1:08 flat. Elmhurst, a 7-year-old gelding by Wild again, who won the first Breeders' Cup Classic here from Mimbet by Raise a Native. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
Well, a tough luck loser is Gary Stevens. He was aboard He's a Bull, and you told me that this is a race you wanted to win perhaps more than many of the others in your racing career. Why?
Well, Mike Chambers is family to me. We've been very close for a long time. He really gave me a big shot early on in my career. I hadn't ridden for him for a long time. He's one of the best horsemen and trainers I've ever ridden for, and he did a tremendous job with this horse. Everybody was looking past him. They didn't think he could sprint. Mike sharpened him up and just ran a heck of a race. But I think, you know, you should be happy running second in a $1 million race, but I wanted this race bad. They're happy, but that's just part of the game. Hats off to CN Ray, Janine Sahadi, and Corey Nakatani, Elmhurst. They did a great job.
So Gary Stevens, a tough luck loser today. Back to Tom.
It's early up.
And there's a look at Elmhurst. Sprint champion probably off today's win in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Let's go to Trevor Denman.
Thank you, Tom. Well, what an incredible run that was from Elmhurst, too. And the way he did it was just absolutely spectacular. We take a look at the start right here. Here's Corey Nakatani in the green colors. He's going to come out of the number 3 stall. The start irrelevant to Corey. He just takes a hole, says, you guys go on with it. I'll come and see you later. You can see right here, he's quite content to just drop back. And in fact, he's going to drop so far back that the dirt from the other horses had probably landed before he even got to them. He drops a good 6 lengths behind the second last runner. I'd have to estimate he was probably 18, 20 lengths behind the leaders, who at this stage were Track Gal and He's a Bull. And you can see Corey here starting saying, okay, let's loosen up a little. See the ears on Elmhurst starting to pin back. He's starting to put his game colors on right now. And right here, Corey says, okay, let's go pick them off one by one. Let's start off with Royal Applause, the 6 horse. We got that one beat. Now we're going to take on Trafalgar, the 12B. We got him beat. We still got 12 of them in front of us, though. There's another one going down a perfect rail skimming trip too. He has to watch out now that he doesn't run up on horses' heels right here. This is crucial for the jockey. He has to pick his way through, and look here, they shut him off. He can't. Corey's going to have to swing out right there. He pulls on the right rein, says, okay, let's go to the extreme outside, just taps him on the shoulder. He knows that this is an old 7-year-old veteran. You don't need to hit him. He's doing the very best he can. Here's the wire, and Corey Nakatani and Elmhurst perfectly timed, and there's the smile from Corey Nakatani. A great race, a sensational win, almost an exact replica of Leader Justice last year. Tom?
And there is Corey Nakatani. What a beautiful ride on Elmhurst. Let's go down.
Okay, Tom, and with the jubilant owners and trainers here of the sprint champion, Elmhurst, this is getting a little old hat. Leader Justice last year, Elmhurst today, both of them in the same manner, just flying from off the pace. To make the presentation, we've got Scott Osborne. He's the regional marketing manager of Buick Motor Division.
On behalf of Buick Motor Division and some 2,800 Buick dealers across the United States, we're extremely pleased to present this championship trophy.
I better buy a Buick. You better.
And this horse just came flying from off the pace. A great ride by Corey, and just a beautiful training job by Janine.
Every time.
Every time. Corey, did you think he had any chance turning for home on this horse?
I've just been really impressed with him. He's training extremely well in the morning. Janine, thank her for giving me the chances. Thank the race for giving me the chance to ride such a nice horse. It's just such a great feeling all the way around. It's the same connections as last year. I'm thinking of you, the mom and dad, everybody at home, and this is great. And I can't thank Chrysler for giving us all the chances that they give us and supporting our game. It's a great, great game.
And Janine, you said you cut this horse 2 years ago. Now, what brought that up?
Well, we talked about it, and Cian and I decided that we had a maiden on our hands, and no one wanted to breed to a maiden, so it worked out well. And I just want to blow a kiss to everybody in my family, Stephen, Scott, Mom, Dad.
And congratulations, 2 years in a row with just a fantastic effort. Congratulations to Janine Sahadi, Mr. and Mrs. Ray, and Corey Nakatani. Tom?
All right, Mike Battaglia, Corey Nakatani. Back-to-back in the sprint. Coming up next, the Breeders' Cup Distaff. These are the fillies and mares going 1 1/8 miles for $1 million. A couple of entries, Agena and Asina. As you see, the odds as Hidden Lake opens as the 9-5 morning line favorite in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Corey Nakatani with a point toward the heavens. An emotional moment. We'll tell you more about Corey's story in a moment. Beautiful morning, not yet noon at Hollywood Park as we check the current odds for the Breeders' Cup Distaff. The Paulson entry at 9-2, Jewel Princess and Sharp Cat 4-5 favorites. Radu Cool 16-1. Minister's Melody at 24. The long shot, Clear Mandate is 11, and Hidden Lake 2-1 second choice at the moment. Well, already we have seen Corey Nakatani win back-to-back sprints, and now he'll go to make it back-to-back aboard Jewel Princess in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And of course, that would be a welcome tonic for Corey Nakatani, for since the glory of Woodbine, his life has been in turmoil.
The Breeders' Cup last year was kind of like a blur. It wasn't something that I could have enjoyed, and something that I can look back on it now and enjoy it. But at the time, it was kind of a real high and a real low.
The highs were obvious. His first Breeders' Cup victory aboard Lead de Justice. But the lows were hard to forget. His entire day of racing dedicated to a dear sister, murdered just days before horse racing's biggest event.
I mean, this was all in that year. You know, my grandfather passed away, my mom's dad. My other grandfather passed away, my dad's dad. When my nephew passed away of leukemia, he was, you know, he wasn't that old. And my sister was murdered.
On his biggest race day, Corey Nakatani rode with an angel on his shoulder.
I knew that Dawn got me there. That's what it was all about. I knew it all the way along. It's really hard on me, but I'm trying to be strong.
But the heartaches were not over. Months later, his father followed his sister in death.
I think that had a lot of stress on him, and that kind of put him over the edge. And it was just too much to take, and his heart wasn't strong enough to take all that.
People would say, at least you've got your health. But major surgery made him fear for his own life.
He tries to deny he didn't go through a lot when he had his thyroid removed. It was a 3-hour surgery. He was in ICU overnight. And he was, you know, he thought he was going to die. And I was crying and was going to fly back there and see him, and he did not want me to go back. He didn't want me to see him that way.
The things that happened in my life is something I've got no control over. But it affects you. And it's hard to put the two to separate the two. You know, what happens in your personal life has a lot to do with what you're going to do on a racetrack.
He sought peace by returning to the place he knew best, the racetrack. But his natural aggressive riding style was his own undoing. It led to an ugly incident at Del Mar. After being cut off during the race, he retaliated as they pulled up and pushed apprentice jockey Ryan Barber off his horse.
What he did at Del Mar was inexcusable, and he knows it, and I told him, and he knows how I felt about it. But he lost it.
With that act, Nakatani lost the respect of the racing community. The penalty was harsh. Suspension for 26 days.
When you lose a month or so, all those mounts are ridden by somebody else. And if that guy rode them well, they can't very well give them back to Corey.
For some people, it's going to be a long road for him to earn their respect and their trust, and that's exactly what it's going to take. I mean, he's going to have to prove to everybody that he can control his temper, that he is still a tremendous athlete, and that he still has a great admiration for what he does.
Nakatani has already taken the first positive steps by completing court-ordered anger therapy sessions.
He takes a lot of things in and doesn't let them out. And if he does, you know, he gets into trouble. And it just builds and builds. And now he's learning to cope with that and to let his feelings out.
I've seen a change in him, and I think he is starting to, I won't say come to his senses, but grow up.
You get a lot of pressure put on yourself by what you do. And I've made mistakes. And I apologize for the mistakes that I've made. And you get out there on that racetrack and you ride to win. And I think that's why people ride me. It's because I go out there and I ride to win.
And just a couple of minutes ago, Corey Nakatani hurried in to change his silks after the winner's circle presentation for the sprint. And next will mount Jewel Princess in the distaff. And if the first steps toward turning his life around were anger counseling, perhaps victory at the Breeders' Cup will be the next step. And of course, Trevor Denman has been a long-time observer of Corey Nakatani.
Sure have, Tom, and we've watched him grow up from a young apprentice, an inexperienced young apprentice, to the position where he is now. And there's no doubt that adversity does build character. We all know the adversity that Corey has had to face, and it's definitely built his character up as well. Lately, I think he's a very happy man. He looks to be at peace with himself, and I, for one, would be predicting that 1998 is going to be a huge year for Corey Nakatani. Tom?
All right, Trevor, and we would agree based on his performance, that come from behind rush, even getting his horse out of trouble after being shut off in deep stretch to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And post parade is coming up as the horses make their way from the paddock. John Veach, you've discerned a pattern. The training of Elmhurst and the training of Hidden Lake in this race both had some time off to perhaps get ready. We'll see if that philosophy works. Horses on the track for the distaff, sponsored by Alberto VO5. Number 1 at Gina, half of the Alan Paulson owned entry. This is the Cigar team, Paulson and Bill Mott. Paulson, pilot, founder of Gulfstream Aerospace. This is a 3-year-old filly who was second to Hidden Lake in the Beldame. 1A Asina, the other half of the Paulson entry, ridden by Jerry Bailey. Both fillies sired by Paulson's Strawberry Road. Asina won Del Mar's Grade 1 Ramona handicap, but twice beaten by Hidden Lake. The 2-horse Thoroughbred Corporation has common ownership in 2 horses here, so there's a second entry. This is Jewel Princess, who won the distaff under Corey Nakatani last year, and only 3 horses have been double Breeders' Cup winners. Jewel Princess has lost, though, 4 straight, 2 of those to Hidden Lake, and this is her final race. She retires from racing after today. 2B, the second part of the entry, is Sharp Cat, the Lucas-trained 3-year-old filly. Likes to go to the front. After a freshening from July to October, she came back with an impressive victory in the Ladies' Secret at Santa Anita and is 2 for 3 at Hollywood Park. The 3 horses, Radu Kul, owned by the 505 Farms of Marshall Nafi, a 76-year-old Lebanese immigrant who made $500 million owning movie theaters. Filly's something of a neurotic. She doesn't like to touch the metal sides of the starting gate, and they'll rig a blanket to keep her happy today. Number 4, Minister's Melody. She's been singing off-key lately, beaten nearly 30 lengths in her last 2 starts, but she was a 9-length winner of the Arlington Oaks back in August. She was a $400,000 yearling purchase. Number 5, Clear Mandate, owned by G. Watts Humphrey, who was wounded 4 times as a Vietnam infantry officer. His grandfather, George Humphrey, was Eisenhower's Secretary of the Treasury. And trainer Rusty Arnold's wife, Sarah, gallops this mare, who tries to become the 8th distaff winner to have raced in Keeneland's Spinster Stakes. She was 6th in this race last year. And number 6 is Hidden Lake, Robert Clay and Tracy Farmer's 4-year-old filly, who has reeled off 4 straight graded stakes wins since John Kimmel developed an extensive therapy program. She is talented, she's fresh, she's at the top of her game. She may prefer the 1-turn mile and 1/8 at Belmont Park, but a victory today could give rise to perhaps some Horse of the Year talk. We'll see. And online at msnbcsports.com, the selections continue to come in. Jewel Princess is the favorite of 19% to repeat in the distaff. Sharp Cat, the other half of the entry, getting some support too, so the entry looks solid with Minister's Melody, the 3rd choice. And I don't think our handicappers had the winner of the sprint, Elmhurst, rushing from off the pace. All right, guys, try one more time.
Well, my sleeper was 3rd. That's about the best I could do in that race. Bet on Sunshine. Didn't miss by much. But the distaff, Mike, is always, I think, a darn good race on the card. It's usually a very balanced field, and I think that's true again this year. Who do you like?
Well, I tell you what, I like Sharp Cat. I like speed. I'm a sucker for speed horses, and I think that she's going to be in front. I thought that was a huge effort last time out by Sharp Cat. And she loves the track here. She's won 2 out of 3. I don't think the 1.8 mile distance is going to bother her, and I think Jewel Princess, the other part of the the entry makes that entry just so solid.
Well, it is a powerful entry. You got contrasting styles, but I'm going to go in another direction. I'm going to go to Hidden Lake here. This is a horse from New York that really has been terrifically consistent all year long. She's got a few aches and pains, but she's all heart. Won 4 in a row. Richard Migliore, not a lot of folks around the country know about this guy, but he's a darn good jockey, and Hidden Lake is my choice in this one. But we're going to take a look at how we think this race might be won as we go to our virtual racetrack.
Yeah, and as we look at it on the run down the back stretch, when we take the first look, I think that Sharp Cat is going to be in front. I think that that Solis will hustle her. I think that Hidden Lake will be in good position right on the outside of her. Gina down along the rail. And at this point, I think Jewel Princess will be far back, Bob.
As they turn for home, Mike and I both agree that they'll probably set up this way, that Sharp Cat will still be on the lead, but then the pressure will start to mount from the outside. Hidden Lake, Gina back on the rail. Jewel Princess will just be kicking in gear. And let's go to our finish now and see how we see this. And Mike and I see this in different ways.
Just a little bit different.
I see this as Hidden Lake finishing first on the wire. Jewel Princess out kicking a tiring Sharp Cat for second money. I know you see it a little differently.
Well, I definitely see Sharp Cat as the winner, and we got our finishes turned around here a little bit, but my finish is Sharp Cat in front all the way. Oh, no, we got him right. That's right. Sharp Cat winning. Jewel Princess making a late run on the outside for second, and I think Hidden Lake will be right there, but I think she's going to finish third.
So here are the picks for the Distaff in this race here at Hollywood Park. And Mike?
I like Sharp Cat and Jewel Princess. I think the entry will be tough if there is a long shot clear mandate.
And I'm going to go with Hidden Lake, and my long shot is clear mandate as well. Let's go back to Tom Hammond.
Well, you named about every horse in the race of the Distaff, I'll say that, but it'd be hard to go wrong with Jewel Princess, Sharp Cat, or Hidden Lake. The Distaff is coming up.
The Breeders' Cup Distaff is brought to you by Alberto VO5 for great hair. VO5 does so much.
Thought that was El Nino there for a minute, just one of the fountains here at Hollywood Park. Let's check the current odds for the Distaff. Paulson entry 9-2, favored Jewel Princess Sharp Cat entry at even money. Radu Cool 15-1. Minister's Melody at 25, clear mandate, some support 12-1. Hidden Lake second choice at 9-5. Well, Hidden Lake's trainer John Kimmel is a veterinarian, but to get this filly on the right track, he's taken a more unconventional approach. What's going on here? Holistic medicine for horses, a 90s cure, even for things equine.
Hidden Lake, upon her arrival to the barn, presented us with some problems in that she had some chiropractic problems. Just like the humans, the spine and the pelvis sometimes are not in their proper set. And what we've done with her is we've brought in an acupuncturist, a veterinarian, and a chiropractic person, and the multiple treatments have allowed her to get her alignment back into proper position.
Hidden Lake had a lot of things out of position. She wears magnetic boots when she's not on the track. She can be found in the whirlpool each afternoon, and she's running better than ever.
She's doing really well right now, and I wouldn't trade places with anyone in this Breeders' Cup Distaff, and I think she's the horse to beat.
And John Kimmel awaits the Breeders' Cup Distaff with Hidden Lake. And John Beach, we were talking earlier that Elmhurst had a pattern of training approaching the race that is similar to that of Hidden Lake.
Right, Tom. You know, we have seen a difference in philosophy in training for horses to get ready for these Breeders' Cup races. People are taking a little bit more time off. And Elmhurst took 2 months off with 1 start to get ready for Breeders' Cup Day. And Hidden Lake is doing the same thing. Took a couple of months off, came back, ran a tremendous race in the Beldane, is very fresh, but again, with only 1 race to get ready for the Breeders' Cup. And that would be, years ago, very unusual.
Hidden Lake, some think that she could draw some support for Horse of the Year if she wins today and everything else breaks just right. It's certainly not a cinch, but there have been some that have mentioned her because she has been the hot horse of late. 12 of the previous 13 winners in this race have been named divisional champion. The only one that did not was One Dreamer in 1994. And favorites do well. 8 of the 13 favorites have won the Distaff. Greg McCarron, how do the fillies and mares look as they approach the gate?
Tom, they're all acting really, really good, but I do want to show you something here that I found pretty unique. As you mentioned, Radu Cool wears a blanket to get loaded into the starting gate. One of the reasons is she's real skittish or nervous. She doesn't like anything touching her sides. So they drape this blanket over her hindquarters, and it's like a security blanket for her. They told me she might kick a little bit when they first put it on her, and then when she goes in the gate, you know, that hits the side of the gate instead of her. Without that blanket, she wants to sit down, kind of squat, maybe run backwards. But she's run with this blanket 2 or 3 times and run well. What they do, Tom, is they hook that thing with a bungee cord to the side of the gate and the back of the gate, so that as she leaves there, the blanket just stays right in the gate, and it's pretty unique. And they even schooled her yesterday morning with it just to make sure that it was going to work again. And Chris says it works wonderfully.
Well, you know, she kicked right on cue, Greg, when you said that, but she appears to have grown accustomed to it now as she comes approaching the starting gate.
I'll tell you, Tom, the sides of those starting gates are aluminum, and sometimes they can be very chilly, particularly early in the morning. And once a horse feels a little bit of sensation, they remember it for a long time.
All right, ready for the Distaff. Let's go atop the stands and join Tom Durkin for the call.
The favorite right now is the coupled entry of Jewel Princess and Sharp Cat. Tactically, they're completely different. Sharp Cat with a ton of speed. She figures to go to the lead. And Jewel Princess, last year's winner of this race, will be coming from off the pace. And then there is Hidden Lake, who is the second choice. And Hidden Lake moving into line, ready for the start of the 14th Distaff. And they're off. Sharp Cat, Radu Cool. Chris McCarron goes to the whip right from the gate to get the lead with Radu Cool, but Sharp Cat is there with her on the outside. Sharp Cat and Radu Cool, and they hook up going into the turn. On the outside, it's Asina. Her mate Gina comes through on the inside. Minister's Melody in between them, running in 5th, and Hidden Lake settles back in 6th. She's about 5.5 lengths off the early lead. Then a break of 2.5 back to stretch running Jewel Princess, and Clear Mandate is the trailer. Sharp Cat takes over as they begin their run into the back stretch, and she zipped a quarter in 22 3/5 seconds. Radu Cool made Sharp Cat run hard to get the early lead. Asina and Gina running together in 3rd and 4th. Minister's Melody on the outside is Hidden Lake, still about 5 lengths from the lead. She gets a gentle reminder from Richard Migliori. He'd like her a bit closer. A break of 4 back to Clear Mandate. Last year's defending champion Jewel Princess is 8 lengths behind her front running stablemate. A wicked pace here. A 45 4/2 mile as Sharp Cat continues to blaze the way into the far turn. On the outside, Asina taking a run at Sharp Cat as they round the turn. Or the inside of Gina running in 3rd. Radu Cool is 4th. 3 lengths back to Minister's Melody. Hidden Lake still about 7 lengths from the lead. She's toiling at this point and moving to her outside. Jewel Princess is coming with her run. She is 6 lengths behind as the field turns for home. And Sharp Cat is surrounded by challengers. Gina comes through on the inside with a bold move. And it is Gina in front at the 8th pole. Sharp Cat now running in 2nd. By the back, Asina. And they're coming down to the finish. And it will be Gina, the upset winner. Gina wins here by 2, defeating Sharp Cat. And farther back, finishing 3rd, was the stablemate of the winner, Asina, and being pulled up there at the end, Jewel Princess, I should say, Jewel Princess has been pulled up following this race, but the laurels today will go to Gina and Mike Smith with the rail skimming ride, getting the victory in the Distaff. And the final time here was 1:47.1.
And as you see, Gina galloping out. Jewel Princess, this was scheduled to be her final race. She pulled up. But it was a Gina. Mike Smith took her through on the inside as Jewel Princess doesn't appear to be in any great distress. There's a Gina with Mike Smith in the familiar red, white, and blue colors of Alan Paulson. And it has to be sweet for the Paulsons because this is a homebred filly by the Paulson Strawberry Road from Winglet by Alidar, the John Veach former trainee. And Bill Mott, the winning trainer. And there is Mike Smith, and Greg McCarron's alongside.
Mike, congratulations. Boy, they were really stepping along right in front of you, weren't they?
They certainly were, Greg. Thanks a whole lot. I tell you what, I was very fortunate headed for home. Fence opened up, and she just accelerated through there.
And how far back were you?
I was sitting right behind the lead. I wasn't far back off of it. She's a pretty quick filly in her own right, and she had me right in the game. All I had to do was let her know when. And when I told her, she responded.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Congratulations again. Back to you, Tom.
The lucky 7th Breeders' Cup win for Mike Smith. Look at him come through on the inside. Heel collar, Sharp Cat. Gets a little left-hand whip, picks up the reins a little bit, and Gina responds. The 3-year-old filly feels the sting of the whip and moves through to collar Sharp Cat. And then Smith pushes her all the way to the finish. For trainer Bill Mott, his 4th Breeders' Cup victory. And as we said, this will be number 7 for Mike Smith, who takes no chances as he gets Gina home to win the $1 million Breeders' Cup Distaff. Here she is, Gina, coming to the wire for the winner's share of that $1 million purse. More Breeders' Cup action from Hollywood Park when we return. The Alan Paulson entry runs 1-3 in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, 11:63, 83:80. Sharp Cat, after setting the fastest early fractions in Breeders' Cup Distaff history, winds up 2nd. There's a look at Gina, winner of the Breeders' Cup Distaff. We mentioned Jewel Princess was pulled up by Corey Nakatani. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer for a report.
Well, Tom, I went right on the track as they unsaddled Jewel Princess, and Corey Nakatani reports no injuries on this fine mare. He just said she didn't run a race. I didn't want to abuse her down the lane, and so he opted to pull her up at the wire. So Nakatani's efforts for kind of a double deja vu, if you will, with the big late-running sprinter Lita Justice this year with Elmhurst. Last year he went out with Jewel Princess, but not this year. The Jewel didn't quite make it this time around. Tom?
All right, we're glad to hear that she is not in distress. It was scheduled to be her final race anyway. Now she will head to the breeding shed. Let's go to Trevor now for an analysis of that last race.
The winning move right here as they came for home, Tom. You're going to see Sharp Cat out on the lead. This is her right here with the blinkers. Ideally, a rider would probably like to leave just a little less room in here, but Sharp Cat did drift out just a little. And then here's the eventual winner right here. This is Asina, and she's going to come through with a dream run right there. And you can see there's enough room for at least 2 horses. Mike Smith grabs the opportunity right there, and that is definitely the difference between winning and losing. Had Sharp Cat been 1 or 2 lanes over to her left, there's no way that Gina would have made it through that hole, but with her drifting out just slightly like that, Gina, a dream run, a very determined run as well. Sharp Cat kind of one-pace that last 1/8 of a mile. She just couldn't dig deep and find any more. No doubt on the afternoon, this daughter of Strawberry Road, Gina was the queen for the afternoon, and there's the salute from Mike Smith, and there she's now leaving the winner's circle. Gina, now racing's latest millionaire. Tom?
And for Alan Paulson, the all-time Breeders' Cup money champ, his 4th Breeders' Cup victory. And here's the final order of finish. Not only was Sharp Cat tiring and drifting out, but the riders have been a little wary of the rail. Mike Smith takes advantage, pushes Gina through to get the money. Hidden Lake, really a disappointment here. She had been the hot horse. She beats only Jewel Princess, last year's Distaff winner. Let's go down to Mike Battaglia now, who has the presentation with Mike Smith and company.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And the winning connections here, Alan Paulson, his wife, Madeline, the trainer, Bill Mott, and Mike Smith. And to make the presentation, we have Cheryl O'Leary, Director of National Accounts of the Alberto Culver Company.
Since the first Breeders' Cup, our founders, Leonard and Bernice Lavin, have been on hand to personally congratulate the winners of the Distaff. Tonight, they're back in Chicago celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. So it's on their behalf and the entire Alberto Culver Company that we congratulate you today on your gallant run of the Distaff. Paulson?
Congratulations, Mr. Paulson, and what a race she ran. Great job by Mike Smith, set right off of those fast early fractions, and when he asked her to run, she was there.
Well, she's out of the Strawberry Road, and he's been a great sire. We're sad we've lost him, but he's sure still putting them out. And it was a great race, a great win.
And Billy, she had run against Hidden Lake. Hidden Lake had beaten her. She had run against Sharp Cat. I think they were 1-1. Today, though, no contest. Did you think she was coming into the race better today?
We thought so. She had run good in the Beldame last time after maybe having kind of a rough start. And we thought that the race should put her in position to maybe win today.
And Mike Smith, now, the rail has not been the place to be for the last couple days, but it didn't seem to be too bad for you.
Yeah, Rail's a place to be when you don't have a choice. That's where he's kind of stuck down in there. But I tell you what, they've done a great job with the racetrack today, and the Rail's in fine shape.
How about the fast early fractions? Were you surprised they were going that fast in front of you?
No, they're very talented fillies, and they're very quick, and I knew he was going to be moving along, but I was sitting right behind him, well in hand, and just waiting for a place to go. And once it opened up, headed for home, she just exploded.
Okay, congratulations, everybody, and great hat, Madeline. Back to you, Tom.
I thought I saw something live in that hat. Are you? No, I guess not. It is a great ad indeed. And a great ride by Mike Smith. He pushes Gina through to get the money in the distaff. Coming up next will be the Breeders' Cup Mile. We'll move to the turf course here. Spinning World from Europe at 5-2. Lucky Coin 4-1. Jerry, another Paulson horse, at 7-2. These are the morning line odds. Helmsman at 8-1 ran in this race a year ago. So we move right along, and so did Mike Smith. He saw the rail open up. He got the bouquet in the distaff. And a kiss as well. Tom Hammond back at Hollywood Park as we approach the Breeders' Cup Mile. On the grass at a mile, the purse $1 million, and the current odds, as you see, the European Spinning World is the favorite. Well, coming up, of course, as the centerpiece of the day, the $4.4 million Breeders' Cup Classic Skip-Away. Could be Horse of the Year, chasing that title. His owner, Sonny Hine, put up $480,000 to make him run. We sent Greg McCarron back to check on him. Greg, where are you?
Tom, believe it or not, I'm all the way back by Skip-Away stall right now. I got lucky to get in the barn. Sonny gave us permission to come back in here. And right now, they're trying to braid his mane a little bit. You can see he's really strong, and he's full of himself. He's just as sharp as can be. But he's been through this before. This is not going to upset him too much. One thing I do know is Sonny's pacing over here. He's a little bit nervous himself. But Tom, the horse looks wonderful. He's doing great. And Sonny, what do you think of your chances today?
Put up $480,000. I gotta like him.
How can you go wrong with that answer, huh? Back to you, Tom.
All right, Greg, that's the biggest bet of the day, $480,000. Sonny Hine, the trainer of Skip-Away. There's a look at Jerry in the paddock before the mile. Bill Mott just won the last race, the distaff, with a Gina. Now he sends another horse to the post. This is Alan Paulson's Jerry. So a chance for Mott and Paulson to win back-to-back races here. The Breeders' Cup Mile. Will it be Jerry? Will it be the European Spinning World? Maybe the Rags to Riches Lucky Coin. Back after a word from your local station. And here are the current odds for the Breeders' Cup Mile. Spinning World at 2-1. Lucky Coin 5-2. El Angelo 7. Jerry is 6-1. And long shots, including Magellan on the outside at 11-1. Well, we saw Lucky Coin a minute ago, and he is a Cinderella story in this race. Will Lucky Coin win the jackpot today?
Sometimes all you need is a lucky coin. For Richard Naminsky, times were tough. He had horses in his barn, but what he had were not worth having. Last June, he moved Lucky Coin to the turf and hit the jackpot. Running on grass, Lucky Coin has won 7 of 8 races. And today, Naminsky makes his Hollywood debut.
Your father was a horse trainer. You've been a horse trainer for 26 years. And here you are at Hollywood Park with your first Breeders' Cup horse.
John, I don't have to tell you about this game. You grew up in the game, too. Oh, it's ups and downs and just an exciting... I couldn't even dream about being here.
And Lucky Coin can be more than just pocket change for Richie Naminsky today.
John, it's a great story of Lucky Coin. And the horses are making their way, including Lucky Coin, from the paddock to the racetrack. Let's go to Trevor Denman.
Thank you, Tom. I was standing right here by the English entrance, Spinning World out here, and he looked to me like he really didn't have his mind on running this afternoon. He looked like he was a little perturbed. You know, some of the horses are sweating up. It is a warm afternoon here. He was swishing his tail every now and again, and to me, he didn't have the right attitude today. I don't think he's a very happy camper right now. Maybe he'll run better once he gets out on the track, but right now he didn't look all that happy. Tom?
See decorated hero in the post parade now, trained by John Gosden, was in California for many years before returning to his native England. Trained the '97 English Derby winner Benny the Dip. this year. This gelding has been heroic occasionally. 2 Wild Event, Florida bred, owned by 82-year-old Arthur Appleton. Wild Event has been on a wild run, 5 straight turf wins, but none against this kind of competition. He is a half-brother to a turf champion, Paradise Creek. Number 3 is Spinning World, second in the mile last year. Cash Asmussen, the Texan, who's been leading rider in France 4 times back to ride. Best miler on the continent, comes off a pair of Group 1 victories at that distance. The 4-horse is Lucky Coin. Lucky Coin, the former claimer, unbeaten in 4 starts at a mile on the turf, brought back memories of lure with his wire-to-wire score in the Kelso Handicap, his first stakes win. Number 5, El Angelo, owned by the Evergreen Farm of C. N. Ray, founded C. Ray Boats. El Angelo raced in Europe last year, but has now won 5 of 9 in this country. Has had a couple of wins over the Hollywood turf. Number 6 is Jerry, and Jerry Bailey, that is. Paulson Mott team again. Last race, the Woodbine Mile, his only race at a mile on the grass. He was a convincing length and a half winner coming from way back. Number 7, Pinfleuron, French bred but U.S. raced in the colors of Cobra Farm, owned by Gary Bazance, chairman of the company that makes Cobra golf clubs. This gelding likes to come from off the pace. One of his best races was the Shoemaker Mile on this Hollywood turf course. Number 8, Ninja, raced in France as a 3-year-old before coming to the States this year, trained by Mike Mitchell, leading trainer at this summer's Hollywood meet. A long shot. He does like the Hollywood turf. Number 9 is Helmsman, 6th in the mile last year, has won only once since then, beaten by Jerry in his last start. He does have back class, a Grade 1 winner who retires to stud in Kentucky after this race. There is Helmsman, and number 10 is Soviet Line, owned by Sheikh Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai. Trainer McLaughlin has several times been the top trainer in Dubai during their winter racing season. Today's race, a step up in competition for this 7-year-old. 11 is Fantastic Fellow, who's won 3 of 4 starts for Lucas since coming to the U.S. from Europe. 3-year-old colt, he too moves up in class this afternoon. And number 12 will be Magellan. Magellan has been around the world for Sheikh Mohammed, the younger brother of Sheikh Maktoum and the defense minister of the United Arab Emirates. Has more than 400 horses in training around the world. And the well-traveled Magellan has raced in England, Dubai, and the U.S. his last 2 starts for Neil Drysdale, who has saddled 5 Breeders' Cup winners. There is the field for the Breeders' Cup Mile. Well, Mike Battaglia is pitching a shutout. Bob Newmeyer is also firing blanks today, but the Cyber Cappers at least have 1 winner. They like Jerry, the Paulson horse in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Let's go back to our hapless forecasters.
I'll tell you what, Tom, we've seen some fantastic finishes so far. I think Newmeyer and I are just stretch runners. We are really setting ourselves up for a late run, Bob.
That's the beauty of this game. You can be wrong 3 times and correct once. Take a nice long shot. You can be out, over, and up, and that's what I'm going to do in this mile race this afternoon. And my selection here is a horse called El Angelo. He's a nice, solid price up on the board, about 7-1. Trained by Janine Sahadi. This was an electrifying run at Bay Meadows, cutting down in distance from 1 1/8 to a mile. You know, I was checking my stats, Mike. Janine Sahadi now, for trainers who have saddled 5 or more Breeders' Cup entries, has the best percentage of winners and across-the-board horses. Anybody in the history of this event, I'm on her in this race.
She's done a great job, but I'm going to go for somebody that's a little hotter because they won last time. Bill Mott and Alan Paulson, and I like Jerry. I thought Jerry ran a big race last time out. His first time on the mile and on the grass, he came from far off the pace and was just flying at the end. Watch this finish out here. This is Jerry way out on the outside. He came from so far back, and I was really impressed with this race. His other 2 races where he got beat on the grass, he's had an excuse, and I think he'll be flying at the end again.
So Mike likes Jerry, and let's go to the official picks and the sleepers for this mile run. And Mike, as we take a look, you're going to go with Jerry and your sleeper?
I'll tell you what, this Wild Event really impressed me. He's 5 for 5, unbeaten on the grass. He had to check at least 3 times in his last race at Keeneland. He's 21 right now, and he's got a shot.
Well, I'm ice cold. I've got to get out of the doldrums here with El Angelo. He's my pick. He's my sleeper. Go get him, Janine Sahadi, Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, I think you're forgetting a horse here. It's the European Spinning World and Cash Asmussen. You know, 6 European horses have won the mile in the 13 previous Breeders' Cup. And, you know, after Dancing Brave and other horses of the century from Europe, the feeling is that European horses don't fare well in the warm weather of California. But in the 4 times the Breeders' Cup has been here in Southern California, 2 European horses have won. And there you see Magellan, one of those European horses, at 11-1. Helmsman back for another try at 15 to 1. Those are the odds, current odds for the mile. As post time approaches at Hollywood Park, they'll be on the grass for a purse of $1 million when we come back. Who do you like in the Breeders' Cup Mile? The fans like Spinning World, a slight favorite at 2 to 1, just ahead of Lucky Coin at 2.5, 5 to 2. El Angelo at 7. Jerry is at 6, getting some support. Helmsman at 15 to 1, and Magellan at 12 to 1. The others extreme long shots. Spinning World, and there's Janine Sahadi, the trainer of El Angelo, and already she has one victory today. Elmhurst in the sprint, nervously awaiting the Breeders' Cup Mile with El Angelo, her horse in this race. Well, we were talking about Spinning World just a moment ago, a European horse, and the Europeans have fared well in the mile. There is an interesting aspect here, John Veach, in that this is an extremely short run to the first turn on this mile course, something the Europeans aren't used to.
Right, you're right about that, Tom. Those jockeys will be in the middle of the first turn before they really know it. And the thing about it is, this is a very sharp-turned racetrack. The inside, the inside turf course is about a little more than 7/8 of a mile, and its position going into that turn, if you're on the outside, you're going to lose a lot of ground. And there are only 2 horses that seem to have an early turn of foot in here that are really legitimate. One of them, Lucky Coin, of course, has been very well. He's run some very fast fractions, but on the lead most of the way. Magellan, who seems to be on the improve, is on the outside. Now, he has also shown some early turn of foot, but if he gets hung out 3 or 4 wide, he will lose a tremendous amount of ground and certainly a lot of chance to win this race.
Well, Magellan is ridden by Eddie Delahousie, who certainly knows this Hollywood turf course well. Something like 4% from the outside post, though, have won the Breeders' Cup Mile races, and a similar percentage for the outside post, that is from 9 on out here at Hollywood Park. Another man familiar with this racetrack is Trevor Dedman. Let's get his thoughts.
Thanks, Tom. Well, on looks out here, I really had to like the look of Jerry, and talking about thoughts and that, he was definitely thinking out here in the post parade. Pricked his ears up, took a good look into the crowd. Could almost see him thinking, man, there's a lot of people out there today. This must be an important race. He looks absolutely impeccable. The big thing is, though, can he get a run? If he gets a run, Jerry will certainly be very tough to beat. And then we also have the other Dwayne Lucas horse, fantastic fellow, and he looks superb in the post parade. Again, looking up on the tote board last couple of minutes, he was 35 to 1. If he gets a good trip out there, Kent Asormo, fantastic fellow, 35 to 1 long shot. I would have to take Jerry as the best, but definitely fantastic fellow, got a huge chance. And again, this race, luck is going to be all important. Tom?
Luck does play a big part. And Greg McCarron, give us a jockey's perspective. We were talking about that short run to the first turn. I guess position is very critical at that point.
It sure is, Tom. And those guys sitting on the outside, the 2-3 outside posts, are really going to have to make a quick decision. If their horses beat the gate, they got to go. And if they don't, they want to tuck back and get back in and save as much ground around that first turn as they can. The worst thing that can happen is if you break good and don't clear your field, then you get hung 4 or 5 wide, and that just kills your chances. And Tom, yesterday I had a chance to get on the grass, and this course is pretty firm. They keep the grass rather short. It's mowed pretty short from what I'm used to, and you can really hear the horses pounding over it. But all the jocks here say that it doesn't jar them like a real hard grass course would, and we're going to see some pretty good times in this race, Tom.
Greg, you know, there have been fewer Europeans than normal at the Breeders' Cup this year, and I think one of the big reasons is because it's difficult for them to come over into the hot conditions. They've been breathing cool air at their home base, and they come over here in the hot conditions, take something out of them. Do the European horses seem to be handling what is a pretty hot day already here at Hollywood Park?
No, the couple we've got in here, Tom, are really acting all right. Spinning World is calm and cool, and Frankie Dettori's horse is just as nice as can be. I think part of that problem, Tom, is past performances, that they haven't done well here. And I think they're just trying to save, you know, not the embarrassment, but not putting up their best to get beat at what they think is a disadvantage.
Well, in the Breeders' Cup Mile, only 4 of 13 favorites have won the race. Spinning World is a slight favorite over Lucky Coin. And it's interesting that Lucky Coin, a supplemental entry, drawing a lot of support, as did Men's Exclusive in the sprint. Men's Exclusive didn't fare so well. Lucky Coin, the rags to riches story, the former claimer, hoping for better things here. The Breeders' Cup Mile, sponsored by National Car Rental, a purse of over $1 million a mile on the turf. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
There goes a stretch running helmsman into the starting gate with his colorful colors. Long striding El Angelo. Janine Sahadi looking for another Breeders' Cup victory. There goes the Soviet line. Just a few more in behind the gate, waiting for Jerry, Fantastic Fellow, and the Magellan. Jerry would make it back-to-back victories for the Alan Paulson and trainer Bill Mott duo. Magellan goes into line, ready for the start of the Breeders' Cup Mile. And they're off. It's Wild Event and Lucky Coin on the far outside. Fantastic Fellow. Spinning World is up close as the field moves into the first turn. And Lucky Coin with his usual early flair there as the lead. It is Lucky Coin in front by length. Fantastic Fellow up close. And the Spinning World sits back now, reined in to run in third. Soviet line caught 5 wide early, moves up down the outside. He's running third. Spinning World is fourth toward the inside through a quarter that went in 23 and 2. Helmsman rating in fifth. Magellan in the clear on the outside sixth. Jerry running seventh. He's about 7 lengths from the lead. Then Wild Event, Decorated Hero, Ninja, long striding El Angelo is 4 wide down the backstretch. Late running Pit Piranha's even farther out into the course. They continue up the backstretch, and it is Lucky Coin hounded by Fantastic Fellow through a half that went in a solid 46 and 3/5 seconds. Lucky Coin continues to control the pace as they head for the far turn here, and he lets it out a notch by a length and a half. Fantastic Fellow, and on the inside, Spinning World, and now Cash Asmussen guides him off the rail for a clear shot at Lucky Coin, who's continuing to move strongly on the lead. Jerry is picking it up. He's moving through an opening on the inside. Fantastic Fellow tails off. Decorated Hero is in with the shot, but they still have to reel in Lucky Coin, the leader, with 1 furlong to go. Davis still handwriting him, and here comes Spinning World. The European storms to the lead in the final furlong. Lucky Coin did little to resist. Jerry closing late, but not enough to get to Spinning World. Spinning World was a world beater today, and Hollywood he wins by 2. And it was close for second there between Jerry, Decorated Hero, and the early leader Lucky Coin. The final time here was 1 minute 32 and 3/5 seconds, equaling the course record and the Breeders' Cup record.
Well, Cash Asmussen finally, after coming back to his native America many times to ride horses, gets the money. Cash, the aptly named jockey from Texas, who was leading apprentice rider in the United States, left New York, took his tack to France, has had marvelous success there, leading rider numerous times, takes Spinning World, Europe's best miler, proving to be the best in the world today. Spinning World coming up on the outside, collaring Lucky Coin, and under the hand ride and a little tap from Cash Asmussen starts to draw away from Lucky Coin, the early pace setter, as they come to the line in 1:32 and 3, equaling the fastest ever Breeders' Cup mile. Spinning World in the Flaxman Holding colors of Stavros Niarchos. Cash Asmussen, the trainer, Jonathan Pease. There is Spinning World, a 4-year-old colt by Nureyev out of Imperfect Circle by Riverman, bred in Kentucky by the owner, Flaxman Holdings Limited. Let's go to Greg McCarron.
Yeah, Tom, Cash, I saw you yesterday morning. I asked you how many you rode. You just said just the one, but you told me you had a heck of a chance.
Yeah, this was the right one.
Congratulations, Cash. He just mowed them down to the stretch, didn't he?
He's just like a fine wine. He's just better with age.
Well, he certainly did it today. Back to you, Tom. Thanks, Cash.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, Cash rides in France. He would know about that fine wine, wouldn't he? Finally a win in 23 ties. Hats off to Cash. Spinning World has become the 7th European trained horse to win the Breeders' Cup Mile, with Jerry second and Decorated Hero finishing third. It was very tight for the second, third, and fourth places, but Spinning World the clear winner. Here's a look at Helmsman. Helmsman was making his final start today and was pulled up after he finished the race. And as you can see, limping a bit as he is being loaded into the equine ambulance over on the back stretch. We'll have a report as soon as it's available. Meanwhile, here are the payoffs in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Spinning World, $624.280. Jerry, $564.40. Decorated Hero at $10.20 in the show spot at $35.80 exacta. And for the trophy presentation, let's go Well, not down for the trophy quite yet, but Mike Battaglia has a report for us. Is that right, Mike?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Tom. Here with Jerry Bailey, and Jerry rode to Jerry, who was flying at the end, ran a great race, but you just ran into a buzzsaw.
I did. I had a great trip, saved ground both turns, but the winner still had something left at the wire.
I mean, this horse is definitely the best miler in Europe. Now it's proven that he's probably the best miler in the world. But I'll tell you what, Jerry, he just ran gave you everything that he had.
He really did. He was the best on this side of the pond. He just ran into one that was better on that side of the pond.
All right. Thanks, Jerry. Tom?
And Mike, it took a great performance to beat him from Spinning World, who equaled the Breeders' Cup and the Hollywood course record for a mile on the grass, 1:32.3. And for his analysis, let's go to Trevor.
Okay, Tom, again, we were saying how luck was going to play such an important part before that race, and certainly luck was in with Spinning World. He's going to be drawn right in here as we just take a look at his hindquarters right there, but he's going to jump beautifully and tuck in just behind the leaders and get really a rail-saving ground trip ride here from Cassius Smith, and that's him in the white cap now, racing in second, as it's Al Angelo racing on his outside, and Lucky Coin going out to lead them, and there he is, the 3, Spinning World on the inside. Beautiful trip. Now Fantastic Fellow moves up on the outside, but Cassius Musson quite content to just let those other 2 go on. You can look at his left wrist here of Cassius Musson, the horse with the white cap. You can see he's got him on a tight hold, and the horse is pulling pretty hard there. Cassius telling him, not yet, we still have more than a half a mile to go, but right here, Cassius Musson's got to be feeling very good. He knows he's got a ton of horse under him. They're going fast up front, which is going to suit him perfectly, and the field strung out over quite a lot of ground too, so they didn't bunch up on his outside and get him blocked in down at the rail here. Fantastic Fellow, who's racing just in front of him, is going to drift out on the turn here. Didn't take that turn all too well, and that's just what Cassius Musson needs now, because now he's only got one horse in front of him, and that is Lucky Coin, and we'll see momentarily as they start to turn for home. Cassius Musson right there sees a hole as Fantastic Fellow drifted out, a perfect gap for him, and that could easily be the difference between winning and losing. Had Fantastic Fellow kept him in down there, he might have had a look for room, and it might not have turned out the way it does now. He's got clear sailing, a lot of horse. He shakes the reins here at Spinning World, and again, just look at him stick that neck out, the nostrils flaring here. He is absolutely flying through the lane, just a little backhander to keep his mind on running, but that is a beautiful actioned horse covering so much ground. You just couldn't beat him today. He was sensational. Jerry running on for second, and there in the winner's circle is Spinning World. Tom?
All right, Spinning World wins the Breeders' Cup Mile, 7th European, as we mentioned. Jerry getting second, Decorated Hero just nosing the early pace setter Lucky Coin for the show spot. Magellan 5th from the outside post, as you see the complete order of finish with the Ninja bringing up the rear. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer.
Tom, I want to follow up on the helmsman story. I'm with both jockey Corey Nakatani and Dr. Larry Bramlage, the attending veterinarian here. And Corey, first of all, what can you tell us about helmsman?
Well, it's no life-threatening situation. He seemed like he pulled up just a little bit off, and he was definitely favoring it, and I jumped off him, and he'd be fine.
Dr. Bramlage, I see you working the walkie-talkies. Your crew is in operation. What's the procedure now?
Well, he's been bandaged. He has a little swelling in his tendon area just below his knee in the back, and so Corey did a good job pulling him up, and it's just a precautionary. No fractures, it doesn't look like on preliminary exam.
So he's being worked on as we speak?
Yes, he'll be taken back to his stall and examined.
All right, quick action here by the veterinarians at Hollywood Park. Tom?
Sounds good, Bob. And Helmsman will be on his way to stud duty in Kentucky anyway. As you look at the winner, Spinning World was second at Woodbine last year. Comes home to get the big trophy today. And speaking of trophies, now let's go down to Mike Battaglia with the presentation.
Okay, thanks, Tom. And with Maria Niarchos and a couple of other members
Maria
of the...
Guate, my sister-in-law Daphne Guate, my husband Stefan Guate, Jonathan Pete, and Cash Asmussen.
And to make that presentation, Mr. Bob Dimmick, Corporate Vice President of National Car Rental.
On behalf of National Car Rental Worldwide and the entire Republic Industries family, it's a pleasure to present you with the trophy for winning the Breeders' Cup Mile. Congratulations.
Shouldn't we turn it this way?
Hey, there you go.
There we go.
There you go.
And we knew going in you had the best miler in Europe. I think today that you've proven, Jonathan, that you've got the best miler in the world.
Yes, he is good, but probably weren't very good American horses this year, but he's had to come here and do it, so he is good, yes.
Anytime you ship all this way into this kind of climate and run that kind of race, you have to be very happy, especially the time.
Yes, I was. We don't worry about times in Europe, but I was happy to have won.
Okay, and Cash, how about the trip you got?
A perfect trip. He carried me all the way.
quickened into position on the final turn, and I had a ton of horse left when we turned into the straight. You know, this horse has just improved with time, and I think that you've seen him really what he is today. I was happy he could show it over here.
I mean, he tracked the leaders just perfect. Is that the way he runs in Europe also, tracking right off the leaders?
Yeah, he has usually, and I just think that today was very sharp. Jonathan had him fresh. He was on top of his game. We had a good number, followed a speed horse, and he was really sharp and fresh, pointed for this race.
Well, congratulations to all the connections. The best miler in the world, spinning world. Back to you, Tom.
That's right. The spinning world is the best in the world, and proved it today on the Hollywood Park turf course. Coming up next, I think the consensus is this could be the best race of the day. It's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And here is the morning line for the Juvenile. Souvenir copy from California at 3-1. The unbeaten favorite Trick is 7-5. John Bill 15, Double Honor 10. Time Limit opened at 10. Dawson's Legacy at 20. And Grand Slam from the Lucas stable at 5-2. Those are the morning line odds for the $1 million Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Well, one of the main topics in thoroughbred racing these days has been the use of the whip. Of course, in Europe, there are much more restrictive rules regarding the whip as the United States. But recently, John, especially in New York and California, there's been some discussion of whip usage.
Tom, not only has there been discussion, but they have adopted a very strict rule that is somewhat formulated on the European rule, where a jockey is required not only to restrain himself, but also only to hit the horse in certain parts of the body, on the flank and on the shoulder, leaving the belly area and other sensitive areas, like particularly the head and the neck, alone.
Well, for more on the story of whip usage, let's go to Trevor Denman.
The whip is a tool. It's not a weapon. This is a tool to help me get more run out of the horse, but it's definitely not a weapon. And if you go out there with the attitude that it's a weapon, then you're not going to be around the business very long.
Here, the whip is being used as a weapon when the race is already won. Watch this horse shift from the pain. This is even accentuated when the horse is well beaten.
Abuse of the whip to me is when a rider is running, so say, out of the money and just keeps on beating on a horse. And that's something I think the stewards should be able to look at and decide on their own.
If a horse is soundly beaten and has no chance of winning the race and you're striking your horse, you're going to be either fined or you're going to be suspended. If a horse is marked up when they come back, in other words, if they have welts on them, you're more than likely going to have a severe fine. The second time it happens, you're going to have a severe suspension, say, of a week, which is you're out of action.
Regarded as the most compassionate jockey in America, Gary Stevens will never be out of action for misuse of the whip.
Some of the old style was to be riding like this, and they would come up, and it was more for scenery than it was for anything else. They would come up like this, clear across, lay back, and hit one like that. And the rule now says that you are not allowed to raise your hand above your shoulder. So it's more from down here or with your stick down just to reach back and pop one like that. And that's the two differences in the styles and what we're allowed to do versus what we were allowed to do before.
Hopefully, the rest of the racing industry also recognizes who the stars really are.
We rely on these horses for our business, and they have rights, we have rights, but the animal is the most important thing in our business, and anything we can do to protect them, we're trying to do it.
And the California Horse Racing Board really has made giant strides in that direction with the actual whips themselves. You'll see right here a protective covering they called feathers, and this certainly lessens the sting. And at the end of the whip, it has to be looped like this. And again, that lessens the severity of the blow. Throughout history, mankind has always been slow to make changes, but inevitably those changes are made. And certainly when it comes to the welfare of the horse out there, I think it's not a matter of when we will be making these changes, it's just a matter of how long before they will actually come into being. Sooner the better. Tom?
Bravo, Trevor. And of course, Gary Stevens has some first-hand knowledge running afoul of the stewards for American-style use of the whip in England, which was a little bit more vigorous than they use it in England. And didn't have any complaints about it and is one of the advocates, as you could tell, of safer whip usage by American riders. A well-needed adjustment to the rules of racing in the United States. Well, we're waiting for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This is a race that features the East versus the Midwest versus the West. 3 very talented horses are the 3 favorites. Souvenir Copy at 2-1. Favorite Trick, the 8-5 favorite. He is 7 for 7. And the other one will be the Wayne Lucas trained Grand Slam from New York at 9-5. We're licking our chops for this one. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Back to Hollywood Park after these messages from your local station. It was a bright day at Hollywood Park in Southern California as Breeders' Cup Day 14 opened to the sound of trumpets. Diana dazzled in the Juvenile Fillies, a Countess crown. Diana's victory elevating a former steeplechase jockey into a blue blood amongst trainers. Patrick Byrne, now a member of racing's elite. And so is Shane Sellers. How many titles ahead for Byrne? She had been here before. Janine Sahadi knew the unlikely prospect of repeating in the most fickle and fastest race, the sprint. But the jockey, too, knew the path to the finish. Again, Janine Sahadi had reason to jump for joy. Corey Nakatani looked skyward, a partnership renewed. In the distaff, Jewel Princess, unable to repeat. Limping from the dirt, a new champion would be crowned. This year, Agena is the princess as Mike Smith celebrated his 7th career Breeders' Cup title. The Mile, for the last 13 years, a European stranglehold. Spinning World with redemption for last year's runner-up, winning the Breeders' Cup Mile in 79-degree weather at Hollywood Park as Breeders' Cup 14 continues. And back in the paddock, the riders are up for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Current check of the odds finds Souvenir Copy still at 2-1. Favorite Trick, 8-5, has reigned as the favorite since the betting opened. And Grand Slam at 9-5 as the second choice. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
Okay, Tom, and Pat Byrne just walking up behind us. He's walking with Favorite Trick. Pat, can we grab you here for a second? Good luck, Pat. And Pat, you had such great luck with Countess Diana. She ran such a big race. A little bit of disappointment with Richter Scale, but this is the one that you are really high on.
Well, this is a very nice colt, and hopefully you can just keep on a winning streak for us. He's just been a super animal for us, and hope for a good racing, good racing trip, and hopefully we'll be right there.
Now, he has trained very well over this track, but the competition here is unbelievable with Grand Slam and Souvenir Copy, by far the toughest field he's hooked.
Yeah, 2 very nice colts indeed. Tough race, of course, should be Breeders' Cup. And, we just hope to keep our fingers crossed and keep winning.
Actually, they're kind of ganging up on you because between Baffert and Lucas, they're saddling 5 out of the 8 horses in here.
Well, I'll take my 1. They can have their 5. I'm happy with that.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Tom?
All right, a challenge from Pat Byrne. Come at him with your best because he thinks he has the champion, and so far he has done everything right. Favorite Trick is 7 for 7. Unusual to see a 2-year-old race that much less win them all. Current odds find a Souvenir Copy's gone up a half click at 5-2. Favorite Trick 8-5. Favorite Trick just slightly ahead of Grand Slam, who is at 9-5. And the horses coming onto the track for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, sponsored by Visa. 2-year-old colts and geldings, a mile and a 16th. Number 1 National Ore, bred, owned, and trained by Korean native Cho, who operates a clothing export business here in L.A. Last year, his critical factor 3rd in the Juvenile Fillies at 82-1. But why is this horse here? He's 0 for 8, as you see. Number 2, Souvenir Copy, trying to continue the string of California-based horses winning the Juvenile when it's held here. His only loss was when he displaced his pallet in his second start. Now with a special bit, he's reeled off wins in the Del Mar Futurity and Norfolk Stakes. This will be his first trip beyond a mile. Number 3 is Favorite Trick. Can a 2-year-old be Horse of the Year? Only Secretariat in 1972 has been so honored, but it's hard to knock his credentials if he wins today. Already 7 for 7, 7 different distances, 3 different tracks. Pat Day usually has him just off the pace. Number 4 is John Bill, another Bob Baffert trainee. Owner Mike Pegram was born in Fort Knox. He could claim some serious gold today, but it may be too much to ask. John Bill has only a maiden win. The 5 is Double Honor, one of 3 Lucas-trained horses in the race. A race Lucas has won, by the way, 5 times. Purchased for $635,000 earlier this year, Double Honor has chased Souvenir Copy in his last 2 starts. Number 6 is Time Limit, another Lucas horse racing in the Overbrook Farm colors. Same colors Boston Harbor wore to win the '96 Juvenile. Time Limit second to Favorite Trick in Keeneland's Breeders' Futurity, beaten 3 lengths after setting the early pace. Number 7 is Dawson's Legacy, a Canadian-owned and trained horse, giving Rita Schlitzer her first Breeders' Cup starter. Lightly raced, only has 3 starts, a maiden win, and 2 stakes placings. And number 8 is Grand Slam. One of the owners, David Kornstein's wife, Sheila, is a tournament bridge player, so the colt is named for the bridge term, not for a home run. He did hit a home run in New York, though. He's the New York Hope. He's won 3 of 4, including the Futurity and Champagne. Had a blazing workout earlier this week, 57 and change for 5 furlongs. And there is your field for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Will it be Pat Day on Favorite Trick? Pat looks for win number 9 in Breeders' Cup competition. Welcome back to Hollywood Park. Here are the current odds for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. The Souvenir Copy 5-2 Favorite Trick, 7-5, continuing to reign as the favorite. And the second choice Grand Slam at 9-5. Our MSNBCSports.com voters like Favorite Trick at 24%, Grand Slam and Souvenir Copy. They have it figured just about the way the bettors do. Now, stop me if you've heard this before. Our handicappers are 0 for the day.
Well, with that in mind, Tom Hammond, I think that we need to go the exactor route, Mike, to bail us out. This is called Desperate Men with Desperate Ideas.
Well, I'll tell you what, I kind of hate to pick against Favorite Trick. I feel like a traitor to the state of Kentucky picking against Favorite Trick. And in my heart, I'd love to see the horse win and go perfect 8 for 8, but I kind of like Grand Slam in here. I just think he's going to get the jump on Favorite Trick. I thought that his race in the Champagne was nothing short of spectacular. He laid back off a very quick early pace. There you see him running by to win. The final time, 1:40.2 for 1 mile and a 16th, by far the fastest time for the Champagne since it was switched to 1 mile and a 16th. Cold exacta, though. Grand Slam over Favorite Trick.
Well, I'm kind of on that same vibe, but let's flip them. Let's put Favorite Trick on top of Grand Slam. This guy has been amazing. He's undefeated. He's not the biggest horse in the world, but he's extremely athletic. You heard Patrick Byrne says he wouldn't trade this horse for 3 of Lucas's or 2 of Baffert's. He's been brilliant so far. My cold exacta has Favorite Trick over Grand Slam, and both of us are noticeably leaving out the Souvenir Copy, the magnificently bred horse Bob Baffert, at 5-2.
And he definitely could be there. I mean, this is that well matched of a field.
Exact the time, Tom Hammond. Let's go to the picks.
I'm going to go for Grand Slam, Favorite Trick, a little shot to Double Honor just because he's had a win over this track.
Yeah, no sleepers here. Cold, cold, cold. Trick, Slam, get the money. Tom?
There you go.
All right. Well, you know, Souvenir Copy is the California hope, and in the 4 times the Breeders' Cup has been held in California, the juvenile winner had his last race at Santa Anita all 4 times. That would be Souvenir Copy, and he's really moved up since Bob Baffert invented a new bit for him. He calls it the Bafferino. In his only loss, this horse displaced his soft palate, interferes with his breathing. So Bob Baffert designed this Bafferino. It's got a little burr on it that sort of occupies the attention of Souvenir Copy. He is so preoccupied with sort of fiddling with the burr on the bit that he forgets to displace his palate. It's worked so far. Maybe it'll work today in a $1 million race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And we'll be back to Hollywood Park for the Juvenile in just a moment.
The Breeders' Cup Juvenile is brought to you by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be.
Breeders' Cup Juvenile is up next. Horses making their way toward the starting gate. Time for a last recheck of the current odds. Souvenir Copy 5-2. Favorite Trick bet down to 6-5 now. And the second choice in the wagering, Grand Slam, has gone up to 2-1. Breeders' Cup Juvenile is at 1 mile and a 16th. At Hollywood Park, that means they will start in front of the stands. Starting gate placed just beyond the finish line. 2-turn circuit to the wire for that purse of $1 million. And favoritism, I guess, in the Kentucky Derby next spring, although as you know, the jinx is in place. A Breeders' Cup Juvenile winner has never taken the Kentucky Derby. Well, Greg McCarron is out on horseback as you look at the National Lore, the one horse, and your brother, Greg, Chris, is on Souvenir Copy, the horse that has had the displaced palate problem. How are things going so far?
Tom, he's acting real good, but the one thing I did want to say about him, you ought to see the stride on this horse. You couldn't really see it in the post parade because he was with the pony, so he's a little more collected, but when I watched him train this week, he's got a stride that is just tremendous on him. And another thing about that bit, Tom, the bird that they have is actually on the inside part of the inside rein, of the left rein, and that's to keep him from lugging in a little bit because he has had a tendency to do that in the past. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Souvenir Copy carrying the hopes of trainer Bob Baffert, who designed that special bit. There he is, of Silver Charm fame. Had charmed America with Silver Charm's Triple Crown 1. Well, will it be Souvenir Copy from California? Will it be Lucas and Grand Slam from New York? Or will it be Patrick Byrne and Favorite Trick unbeaten when this day is over? Let's go to Tom Durkin.
Favorite Trick, the favorite here. Why not? Undefeated, and he moves into line here as the tote board reads 6-5 for Favorite Trick. The final horse to move in is Grand Slam on the outside. The championship very much on the line here in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. They are in the gate. And they're off. In the mid-pack, John Bill toward the outside. Grand Slam is there, and down toward the inside, Souvenir Copy. There goes Time Limit and Dawson's Legacy. And the field moves into the clubhouse turn, and it is Time Limit. Short lead, Dawson's Legacy on the outside. Favorite Trick just in behind them, running third. Grand Slam fourth, and Souvenir Copy is fifth. A break of 4. John Bill took a few awkward steps moving around the clubhouse turn, but now he's beginning to settle down. He's about 8 lengths from the lead. Double Honor is well out of it, and way behind the rest is Long Shot National Lore. The field moving up the backstretch, and they are moving right along here. Zipped a quarter in 22-3. Dawson's Legacy and Time Limit moving at an excruciating pace here. Favorite Trick not far behind this quick pace, and Grand Slam is right alongside him, and the best of the West, Souvenir Copy, 5 lengths from the lead as the field hits the half-mile pole. 45 2/5 seconds for the half-mile. The rail opens up for Favorite Trick, and Pat Day sends him on through, and he seizes the lead as they round the far turn. Undefeated Favorite Trick in front. Time Limit trying to come back to him. Dawson's Legacy hanging tough on the outside third. Souvenir Copy is called on for his run. He's fourth. He's only 3 lengths behind Favorite Trick. Then John Bell. Double Honor is making a belated bid. He switched to the outside. Grand Slam toiling, and the field turns for home. It is Favorite Trick, the leaders. They come to mid-stretch. Under a hand ride beneath Pat Day. Favorite Trick. Now he says go, and Favorite Trick responds in an instant. He opens up by 3.5 lengths. Dawson's Legacy, the Canadian second. Souvenir Copy third. Here is an undefeated champion, Favorite Trick, and he ran like a champion today, winning by 5. And a pair of long shots, finishing second and third. Dawson's Legacy and National Lore. Wow, how about that? Favorite Trick, absolutely spectacular here. The time was 1:41.2. That's the fastest Breeders' Cup Juvenile ever. Favorite Trick and Pat Byrne with a big day here at Hollywood.
A double wow, Tom Durkin. Pat Byrne has the champion Countess Diana, who won the Juvenile Fillies to start the day. Now with Favorite Trick, he claims the 2-year-old Colt Championship. His record goes to 8-8. And will Favorite Trick, like the mighty Secretariat, be voted Horse of the Year? He won by daylight here in a typical Pat Day ride, and he did it in the fastest time ever in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He is the best of the best, putting Souvenir Copy and Grand Slam in his dust to win it in most impressive fashion. Greg McCarron, I see you there. Can you catch up to him?
Yeah, it was a little tough catching up to him, Tom. This horse can really run. Pat, he is something else.
He's a really special colt, Greg, I tell you. He broke running today, like he does every time, settled in behind them horses. At the end of the backside, I said, I need to get in or get out. Pushed on him just a little bit. He went right on to the lead, and that was the end of the game. And really, I shouldn't have hit him. I flipped my stick up about the 8th pole, and I hit him one time. Caught him by surprise. He swapped over to his left lead, I put it down, he switched back to his right lead, and then finished up with his ears like this, looking at the cameras under the rail. Tell you, he's just a nice colt. Look at him. He's not even blowing.
He acts like he never even ran. Yeah. Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you very much. I got to congratulate Pat Burns on a beautiful day and a beautiful job with this colt. I tell you, he's a very special colt.
Way to go, Pat. Back to you, Tom.
Pat and Pat, Pat Day and Pat Byrne, and vintage Pat Day ride. Saw the rail open up, didn't ask his horse, just put him in position. Patient, patient, patient. When he said go, Favorite Trick responded. And Patrick Byrne has another victory on his first Breeders' Cup Day. Welcome back to Hollywood Park. Favorite Trick, 440, 340, 260. The champion, Dawson's Legacy, a long shot. So was National Lore. National Lore, by the way, the owner and trainer, Mwang Kwon Cho, the Korean, had critical factor at 82-1 third last year in the Juvenile Fillies. Here's National Lore third at 40-1. Although because Favorite Trick was there, the show price wasn't much. There is Favorite Trick, the 3-horse, being circled through the winner's circle with Pat Day aboard. Now, going into the first turn, there was a problem. Number 8 is Grand Slam, the Lucas-trained horse. And watch as he comes up here. Number 8 just on the outside of that second group of horses. He'll clip heels. You see him clip heels, takes a couple of awkward steps.
Yes, Tom. The number 4s came up behind him and actually crossed over and hit his hind legs, and he almost goes down. Now, you know, when you're in high school and somebody walked up behind you and you had your loafers on and walked up behind you and one of the loafers flipped up, well, that was fun. But when you weigh 1,000 pounds and you're running 40 miles an hour, it can be a disaster.
And you see on the left hind leg of Grand Slam that he had some abrasions, the skin taking off by that collection with John Bill going into the first turn. Let's join Bob Newmeyer.
We're the most concerned Wayne Lucas following that injury, which you said in terms of that type of incident is about as nasty as you've seen in your long and storied career as a trainer.
Totally unusual, too. You just don't see that. You see horses getting cut down on their lower leg, but he was cut, actually filleted off the top of his cap of his hock, which is high, and then it, of course, came on down through. But I've never seen one like it, not in a race.
Dr. Bramley says he is walking back. He presumes he's going to be okay, and we'll get this horse back in training.
Well, we'll get it flushed out and get a look at it. It's too early to tell anything right now.
All right, Wayne Lucas, Grand Slam here in the Juvenile. Tom?
All right, let's take a look at the complete order of finish then in the Juvenile. Favorite Trick, Dawson's Legacy, the maiden National Lore claiming third. Souvenir Copy could manage only fourth. John Bill was fifth, double honor time limit, and of course Grand Slam, who suffered that nasty incident in the first turn, but apparently will be all right after some treatment. And all the accolades go to Favorite Trick. And now the question will start, will he be Horse of the Year? He is 8 for 8. He was much the best at the Breeders' Cup. Perhaps it'll depend on what Skipaway does in the Classic later this afternoon. Favorite Trick is undefeated. He'll head on the trail to the Kentucky Derby as the favorite, and maybe it'll be Favorite Trick that'll break that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Kentucky Derby hex. Let's go to Trevor Denman for analysis of the race.
Thanks, Tom. Well, rather a nasty cut there, but let's take a look how it all set up here. If we watch the 4-horse John Bill, he's going to be braking right here, and from the extreme outside is Grand Slam, who's going to brake very fast and cut over right in front of John Bill, who's then going to climb up onto his heels. We'll see it happen right here. A very good start. The starter has just been great this afternoon. These starts are all in a straight line. You couldn't separate more than a neck at the gate. They all broke beautifully. And now again from the outside, Grand Slam in the white cap, going to drop down in the red colors just behind the first set of horses. That's John Bill, and as we saw that incident earlier, John Bill runs right up on him. John Bill almost fell there. He tripped and almost went down, and of course that bad cut on Grand Slam's leg. Hopefully though everything's going to be okay, and certainly I think just a little fixing up and Grand Slam will be back in action just as soon as D. Wayne Lucas can get him ready. Tom?
All right, Favorite Trick and trainer Patrick Byrne in the winner's circle. Let's join Mike Battaglia.
Okay, Tom, and definitely with the 2-year-old champ and maybe the Horse of the Year. See here with Joseph Lacombe and definitely Pat Byrne, his wife Jill, Pat Day, the winning rider, and to make the presentation, Carl Pascarella, President and CEO of Visa USA.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on winning the Juvenile. and we really look forward to seeing you next year in the Visa Triple Crown Challenge. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. And guys, what a race that Favorite Trick ran. I mean, everybody expected this to be a showdown between Grand Slam and Souvenir Copy. We know that Grand Slam had some problems in the first turn. Souvenir Copy never fired, and this was just a rout for Favorite Trick. Pat, he just really fired when you asked him to.
Yeah, Pat sharpened him up a little bit off his last race. He come away from there running, was well placed into the first turn, right in behind the leaders, going the half-mile pole. He was catching him in hand, and I said there was some room on the fence. Let me just let him go ahead and go on in there. I did, and from there on, it was just a cakewalk. We come to the 8th pole, between the 3/16 and the 8th pole. I flipped my stick up unnecessarily, I might add. I hit him, caught him by surprise. He switched over to his left lead. I grabbed him. He went back to his right lead, and then just come to the wire with his ears pricked, watching the cameras and all of what was going on. This is a very special colt. I tell you what, this was a stellar performance, a masterful job by Pat and his crew, and I'm just extremely happy for Mr. and Mrs. Lacombe and for Breeders' Cup, and happy to be here.
Well, I'll tell you what, you've ridden some great 2-year-olds. Where do you rate Favorite Trick?
I've never been on a 2-year-old at this juncture that hadn't been beaten and won the Breeders' Cup. I think that says it all.
So he's the best.
It's a very special horse, yes, sir.
Pat, congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's, I mean, speechless right now.
And well, you should be. Pat Byrne, Pat Day, and just a fantastic job of training and riding. Favorite Trick, the 2-year-old champion, maybe the horse of the year, Tom.
I believe, Mike, we've seen something special today in Favorite Trick. And we'll see how he fares on the Triple Crown Trail in 1998. Now we move to the turf. Only 2 races remaining, and the stakes go up. $2 million. Breeders' Cup turf at 1.5 miles. Here are the morning line odds. Singspiel, as you know, scratched. He would have been the 6-5 favorite on the morning line. So now Chief Bearheart at 5-1, and Rajput on the outside at odds of 6-1 on the morning line for the Breeders' Cup turf. Well, Patrick Byrne wasn't effusive in the winner's circle, but when he watched his Favorite Trick come down the stretch, he was.
Horse of the year right there.
No doubt in his mind. It'd be tough to argue with Patrick Byrne as Pat Day claims Breeders' Cup win number 9. Back after these words from your local station. And welcome back to palm tree lined Hollywood Park as we approach post time for the Breeders' Cup turf over 1.5 miles on the grass. Check the current odds. Awad, one of the veterans, his 3rd appearance at the Breeders' Cup, 5-1. Singspiel again would have been the favorite, scratched. Chief Bearheart from Canada has been bet down to 2-1. And 4-1 odds on the 3-year-old filly Borgia, representing Germany. Val's Prince and Rajput at 8-1. On the current odds for the turf. Well, if you remember last year at Woodbine, the major controversy centered on Rick's Natural Star and his entry in the Breeders' Cup turf. And now, from the perspective of a year later, let's review Rick's Natural Star.
Furlongs out, and they have run 3/4 of a mile in 1:15.2. Rick's Natural Star continues to plummet. The stretch runner is about 15 lengths from the lead.
An embarrassing moment for the thoroughbred industry as Rick's Natural Star finished 180 lengths behind the turf winner at last year's Breeders' Cup. And thankfully, the adventure has ended safely for Rick's Natural Star. The conclusion of a wacky week at Woodbine, where Rick's owner, Dr. William Livingston, put up $20,000 to make his unproven claimer eligible for the turf, taking advantage of the publicity and his horse.
So funny. That is up there.
And here is the thoroughbred who ran in the Breeders' Cup turf and led the field for the first half mile before fading. Now coming to Los Alamitos, and if he happens to win the 4th race, he will earn a $40,000 bonus. They came away to a beautiful start. As expected, Rick's Natural Star has no early speedy drops, right back to dead last.
Even entering him in a race against quarter horses and taking home an appearance fee.
He had performed, he had been loyal, and we wanted to see to him that he got in good hands.
Fed up, Weber purchased Rick's in a $7,500 claiming race. retiring him to Sunnyside Farm in Paris, Kentucky. Today, Ricks enjoys his own 8-acre paddock and will serve as a riding horse for the children of Sunnyside Farm.
The nicest part is that he's not an embarrassment to the industry. And he's happy, and he's well cared for.
Well, Rick's Natural Star, we're told, is a very intelligent and kind thoroughbred, and the Rick's Natural Star saga thankfully had a happy ending, enjoying life now on the farm in Kentucky. And actually, there are a lot of thoroughbreds that are enjoying happy retirement thanks to a nonprofit horsemen's organization. It's called the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. It provides humane retirement for thoroughbreds at many TRF-operated farms in several states, and also for some private adoptions. Interestingly, most of those retirement programs are at correctional facilities where the inmates, in many cases juvenile offenders, can derive some emotional and educational benefits from working with the horses. The Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation providing a happy retirement for a lot of thoroughbreds. And let's go down to Bob Newmeyer.
Well, Tom Hammond, the guy that we're missing today, of course, is Singspiel. He's a world traveler. He won in Japan. He won in Dubai. He's won in Europe so many times, but like Formal Gold and others before him, injuries put an end to his hopes of winning this race. And he was forced to scratch earlier this week, the tail of Singspiel. "7:22 Thursday morning, the final tune-up before the big day. Europe's horse, Singspiel, the overwhelming favorite in the turf. It's been a dominant 12 months for this 5-year-old.
It's Singspiel ahead in front. Pleasure will start the line coming again. Singspiel just in front. Singspiel wins the Japan Cup.
He's going to win it for Sheikh Mohammed. Singspiel wins the Dubai World Cup.
A world-class performance from a champion racehorse as we witness Singspiel winning the Vodafone Coronation Cup.
Today was to be the crowning moment for Europe's super horse, but Thursday, just before 7:30, tragedy struck. The morning workout turned out to be the final run. Led limping from the track, Singspiel had broken the cannon bone in his left leg. A career and a dream had come to a close. The issue now was, could they save his life?
Very disappointing, but these things happen with horses, they're not machines. And he's done us very, very proud. He's won in England, Ireland, Dubai, Japan, and Canada. So I think that the horse has done the main thing is to try and save the horse. And as I say, he's done us majestically well.
Yesterday morning, 10:52, Singspiel was taken to the track hospital for surgery to save his leg, to save his life. Joining us is the man who performed the surgery, again, Dr. Larry Bramlage, and you did it just over in your medical facility here at Hollywood Park. What can you tell us about the procedure, and what's the prognosis for this grand champion?
Well, the prognosis is good. The only thing that happened is that it ended his career one race earlier than it would have ordinarily. He has a small fracture in his ankle. It's kind of the horse version of a badly sprained ankle. Requires 2 screws to put the piece of bone back to the parent bone so that you got the ligament reattached to the bone. But the outlook is good. It's a fairly frequent injury for a horse. It's one of the things that horses have to deal with whenever they're racing. He went through the surgery fine, no trouble, should be okay.
And although we're disappointed to lose him as a racehorse, I know that a lot of folks are very interested in him as a future stallion. This is, after all, the Breeders' Cup.
I believe so. They're looking for mares right now.
All right, Dr. Bramlage, now back to Tom.
All right, great credentials for Singspiel to be a successful stallion. The richest horse in European racing history, well-traveled, proved himself many times over, both on the dirt and turf. Speaking of turf, here are the current odds. 6-1 on a wad, 2-1 Chief Bearheart, 13-1 Ops Smile. Borgia getting a lot of play at 4-1. Val's Prince and Rajput at 8-1. Riders are up as they make their way toward the track here at Hollywood Park. If you're keeping score at home today, as far as the regions are concerned, 3 victories for the East, only 1 for the home team, 1 for the West, and the Europeans claimed 1 in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Now, Can Canada have one? That's Chief Bearhart, the Canadian hope in this race. Here's a look at Chief Bearhart, who inherited the favoritism after the scratch of Singspiel. He'll be piloted by Jose Santos, his only mount on this Breeders' Cup Day. And the horse is onto the track for the $2 million Breeders' Cup Turf 3 and up over a mile and a half. Buck's Boy, owned by the Quarter B farm of 81-year-old George Bunn, who developed the Bunn-O-Matic coffee maker. And they'll be drinking something stronger than coffee. If this horse wins, he takes a big step up in class. Number 2 is Awad, 9th in the turf last year, 6th in 1995. Named for a guest at James Ryan's Rye Hill farm when the horse was foaled. He's earned over $3 million, but as a confirmed closer, he needs a fast pace to set him up. Number 3, Big Sky Chester, first Breeders' Cup horse for Bart Hone, perennial leading trainer at Turf Paradise in Phoenix. Chester's won 3 of 4 on the grass, but never at this level or this distance. Number 4, Dance Design. Ireland's top jockey Mick Kinane rides this Irish-bred 4-year-old filly. Her connections are impeccable. Moyglaire has been champion owner, Dermot Weld champion trainer in Ireland. Last year's Irish Oaks winner. She hasn't raced since August when she was 3rd in Arlington's Beverly D, her only U.S. start. 6 is Chief Bearhart, Canadian owned and trained, 11th after a troubled trip on home turf at Woodbine last year. Seems to be peaking at the right time. He's won 4 of his last 5. Most impressive in his last 2 races at Woodbine, the mile and 3/8 Sky Classic and the mile and a half Canadian International. 7 horses Op Smile, and that Op Smile stands for Operation Smile. 10% of his earnings go to Operation Smile, providing free health care to indigent children and adults. Trainer Bill Boniface puts everyone to work here. His daughter-in-law, Kim Shipke Boniface, is the groom and exercise rider, as Op Smile rides a 4-race losing streak, though in top company. Majorien is the 8, a French-based 3-year-old colt racing in the colors of Sheikh Maktoum. Colt's never won a Group 1 race, but did win his only start at a mile and a half. That was in a Group 2. A lot of play on the 9 horse. That's Borgia, 3-year-old filly who won the German Derby. 2nd horse to represent Germany at the Breeders' Cup. The other, Lando, was 12th in the 95 turf. Borgia a creditable 3rd in the Arc de Triomphe for last start. Here's the 11 horse, Val's Prince. Val's Prince is a Florida-bred 5-year-old who has been no worse than 4th in his last 6 starts, all graded stakes. And Val's Prince appears to thrive at this mile and a half distance. And just a bit out of order, but the 10 horse is flagged down as they came out on the track at different times. Do you recognize the Paulson colors? Flagged down, a 7-year-old veteran makes his 39th career start when the flag goes down today. Pretty consistent, likes the distance. He was 3rd to Val's Prince in Belmont's Turf Classic 3 weeks ago. And the final horse is number 12, Rajput, French-bred and French-raced colt who was recently purchased by Sidney Craig, whose wife Jenny operates the weight loss centers. Craig turned this filly over to Ron McAnally to train. Winner in 3, I should say his. Winner in 3 of his last 4 starts in France. Beat the eventual ARC winner back in September. You notice that they were a bit out of order as Val's Prince came out before flag down. Here's the reason why. Took a look at all the photographers and observers and passers-by. Jerry Bailey said, let's go out, big fella. You're 7 years old. You're supposed to be used to all this. You're not supposed to be acting up when you've raced 38 previous times. So Jerry Bailey hopped off and finally flagged down, made it to the track in good order. 6-1 now on Awad. Chief Bearhart at 2-1. Borgia 4-1. We'll be back. That's a very unusual. Make your selections in the turf as post time approaches. You can get 6-1 on Awad. Chief Bearhart bet down to 2-1. He was a little late coming to the paddock. They had to file off stickers on his horseshoes. Those are little cleats not allowed on the Hollywood turf. Got it taken care of. Borgia at 4-1. Val's Prince and Rajput 7-1 each. Well, the handicappers finally break through. It was a tough one. Mike Battaglia is still 0 for. Newmeyer had a favorite trick. Now the cyber handicappers have doubled Numi's winners and are 2-0 against Mike. They like the favorite Chief Bearheart. Guys?
Oh, that's fine with me. I'm still glad to see Favorite Trick win. And Tom, I'll tell you, we had a near accident after Chief Bearheart was moved out of the paddock. They saddled him in the paddock runway. And I was standing with Jose Santos, and Mark Frostad and his assistants were putting the saddle on Chief Bearheart. He went nuts, hit the side of the wall, came charging at Jose and myself. We had to run to get out of the way. Mark and his assistants did a great job, but the horse seems to have settled down nicely as they came onto the track. Bob, who do you like?
With that in mind, I'm not changing my selection. I still like Chief Bearheart. With Singspiel out of the race, it really opens up the event, no doubt about it. But this guy has been a terrific campaigner in Canada, an electrifying, effortless brush to the lead up at Woodbine in the Canadian International. And Chief Bearheart, to me, is the horse to beat.
I definitely agree with you on this one. I think he had a shot even with Singspiel in here. With Singspiel out, I think Chief Bearheart is such an improved horse from last year, and definitely think he's the one. But we might have a dissenting opinion amongst us.
Well, what would a Breeders' Cup be without an appearance from our friend John McCrearick of Channel 4 in London? We're going to go back to last year, the site Woodbine, Toronto, Ontario, and John McCrearick promised that Mark of Esteem would win the mile, but unfortunately Mark of Esteem finished in Edmonton, not in Toronto, and the reaction of our friend crestfallen. Remember John McCrearick?
I remember very well, but you're a real cad and a bounder, sir, to bring that up, that disaster. What about Spinning World? What about Decorated Hero? Europe's had 16 Breeders' Cup winners, so we're not all patsies, you know. Bit of a disaster that.
You did promise us to stay in Canada had that horse lost. Did you in fact stay in Canada? Have you become a hockey fan?
No, they don't allow undesirables in Canada. The United States kicks me out. Japan won't have me. I can't get anywhere. I'm stateless. I cannot go anywhere. I'm crawling around the globe begging for a home after Mark of Esteem.
You look very Californian, I might add, with your little beige outfit here and a nice red flower, but handicap this race from a European point of view. Where are all your horses?
Well, I wouldn't have Chief Bearheart, 11th last year. Well, maybe it's improved a bit. We haven't got the very best horse. Of course, Singspiel we needed for the very best. Pantra Celeb would have been the best, but Rajput did beat Pantra Celeb. Number 12, Rajput beat Pantra Celeb. Very luckily, I was at launch of a diabolical result, but nevertheless, he
diabolical result.
Oh, terrible result for a pundit. It was 10-1.
Diabolical guess, John McCrearick of Channel 4.
They bet Pantra Celeb.
Say goodbye, John.
Beaten by this Rajput.
He can't, Bob. He can't say goodbye. He can't say goodbye.
Let's go to
we waive consecutive translation of those remarks. Whatever he said, we affectionately call him Mutton Chops. And if he knew our guys were unanimous with Chief Bearheart and Borgia, I'm sure he would be appalled. Also, I do want to question our graphic, which called John Racing Expert. That is somewhat in question. Chief Bearheart, though, seems to be all settled down now. Mike was talking about the incident that happened earlier as they put the saddle on him. He didn't find that to his liking at all. Bang, he bounces off the side. He's bucking, he's jumping. John Veach, how much can that take out of a horse?
That can do a lot of damage. Certainly it's going to do a lot for his mental concentration, but the physical problems are what you're really worried about. A horse that hits a wall like that can really do some substantial damage, and you don't realize it until long afterwards.
They're going to ask him now to go 1.5 miles. Greg McCarron, take a peek at Chief Bearheart. How's he doing?
Tom, he's acting really, really good. And like you said, they had to take those stickers off him outside the paddock, and he walked back in there, and so far he's acting really well.
Your brother, Chris, is on Rajput, Chris McCarron. He's breaking on the outside, but as you talked to him before the day, Chris didn't think that outside post would compromise his chances.
Tom, that was in the sprint. This is a little bit different. They're breaking right on the turn. But what I can tell you that Chris said, he received a tape of this horse from McAnally, and he watched this horse run over in France 2 or 3 times, and he was very, very impressed with him. And then he got to work him the other day. He worked him 1/2 mile, and he came home the last 8th in 11-3, and he was even more impressed. He thinks he's got a real good chance.
All right, short bend into the first turn. The turf, $2 million. The favorite right there, Chief Bearheart. As they go 1.5 miles on the grass, and we go to Tom Durkin.
Well, the real power in the race here will come from behind. Awad, a big stretch runner, Ops Smile, another big stretch runner, as well as Flag Down. Val's Prince really doesn't get involved too early. And we are waiting for Val's Prince and Rajput. Long shots figured to be toward the front, Buck's Boy. And the filly from Ireland.
Well, get out of here, Charles. Get out, bus. Get back.
The gate
Get back.
for the 14th Breeders' Cup turf. And they're off. An awkward beginning for Majorian. Dance Design and Buck's Boy come out in stride, and Big Sky Chester's right there with them. Rajput moves up to join the early leaders on the outside, then Val's Prince. A break of 3 back to Borgia, followed by Chief Bearheart, who takes a position at the rail. Majorian moving past him now. Then flagged down Op Smile and Awad at the back of the pack as Buck's Boy goes out there on the lead. He steps away by 2.5. Rajput now moves in to secure second position. Dance Design had to stay there just a bit. Now she's angled off the rail for a clear shot. Not far outside of her is Val's Prince. They move by us for the first time. The opening quarter goes in 24 seconds flat. Buck's Boy moving right along here. He leads at a solid pace by length and a half. Rajput running second by 2. Val's Prince in close attendance to the pace on the outside. Dance Design is in hand running in fourth. It's another 2.5 lengths back to Majorian and Big Sky Chester. The German filly Borge is about 7 lengths from the lead as they move into the clubhouse turn. The half went in a strong 47 1/5 seconds. And then farther back it is flagged down. Canadian champion Chief Bearheart has only 2 horses beaten at this point, and that is stretch running Op Smile and Awa. Make their way into the backstretch. Buck's Boy has moved at a solid clip, 3/4 and 1/11 flat. And Rajput now moves to his flank second as they continue up the backstretch. Val's Prince running in third. Dance Design still in with a chance, only 4 lengths from the lead. In fourth position with a half mile to go. Then Majorian. Borges only 5.5 lengths from the lead. Then flagged down Op Smile. Chief Bearheart is in behind horses, still about 8 lengths from the lead. Big Sky Chester is retreating, and Awad the field moving into the far turn. It's still Buck's Boy, the 35 1 leader as they round the far turn. Rajput has been trying to get by Buck's Boy as they approach the top of the stretch. Here comes flag down a rallying third, and Chief Bearheart finding his best stride is on the outside fourth. Val's Prince, Borgia right there in behind a wall of horses. At the top of the stretch, it is still Buck's Boy. Here comes flag down, Borgia trying to come on through, and Canada's Chief Bearheart charging on the outside. Flag down in between horses, Chief Bearheart and Borgia flying at the rail. Here's the line. Chief Bearheart has won. Chief Bearheart is the winner. Borgia finishing second, and flag down was third. Well, it was a rocky road for Chief Bearheart, but he got there, and a wonderful story as Chief Bearheart is the winner from Canada. Jose Santos happy about that. The final time here was 2 minutes, 23 4/5 seconds, just off the track.
In the colors of Ernie Samuel's Samson Farm, Chief Bearheart, a 4-year-old colt by Chief's Crown from Amelia Bearheart by Bold Hour, bred in Ontario by Richard Maynard, trained by Mark Frostad. Jose Santos, the winning jockey. An emotional moment after all the pre-race troubles, the working on his shoes, the bouncing off the walls when being saddled, the overland trip and the race itself. Chief Bearheart comes through. Oh, Canada! Chief Bearheart in the Breeders' Cup Turf. A Breeders' Cup record time, 2:23 4/5. Greg McCarron.
Yeah, Tom, I got Jose with me. Jose, you're a little out of breath.
I am. This is the only ride I have today. And I tell you what's a good one. It's very nice horse to ride. Since I've been riding this horse, it's nothing been good for me. No, I love it.
Congratulations, Jose. Back to you, Tom.
All right, Greg. Here it is. Chief Bearheart is in the yellow and red on the extreme outside. Flag down in the Paulson colors between. On the rail is the 3-year-old filly Borgia from Germany, and it looks like Borgia maybe sticks her head in front. Chief Bearheart, though, is coming up on the outside, wearing down with every stride. Right here, Chief Bearheart goes to the front. Jose Santos hits him a couple of times to the wire. Chief Bearheart beating Borgia with flag down third. Big smile from Jose Santos as they overcame a world of pre-race problems to win the Breeders' Cup Turf. Chief Bearheart, Borgia, and flag down. Stop the presses. I think our handicappers had them 1, 2. Chief Bearheart, 11th on his home turf at Woodbine last year. 580, 360, 320, wins the Breeders' Cup Turf. Borgia, the 3-year-old filly from Germany, only the second horse to represent that country, gets third, or second, excuse me, and Flag Down, representing Alan Paulson, is third. Jose Santos with a big smile and emotional for the connections of Ernie Samuels. Been very ill. He owns Samson Farm, perennial Canadian top stable. And for Chief Bearheart in his colors to win the Breeders' Cup Turf has to be very, very emotional.
By Jose Santos. 2:23 and 4 for the 9.5 frontiers. Chief Bearheart, Vernon, Ontario, Canada, by Richard Maynard.
This is the way it unfolded in the owner's box. The Samuels family, Samson Farm. A sweet victory in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Let's go to Trevor Denman.
Thanks, Tom. As you look at a very happy Jose Santos, again getting a perfect trip out here, and this is where you really need intelligence in these long races. Here is Chief Bearheart right here with the red cap and the blinkers out here. To his outside is the grey horse Op Smile. They're going to make their move just about at the same time here. They were strung out early on. They had to be a good 20 lengths from first to last, but Jose Santos just sits patient right here. That's going into the far turn towards the 3/8 pole. You see him start to pick it up just a little. Hands on the left rein there, not really asking Chief Bearheart, more just niggling at him, start telling him to pick up the tempo, but not asking him yet until they actually straighten out for home. You can see the grey on the outside, Op Smile going stride for stride with him right there. And this is where they start to bunch up as the riders start to look now for a hole to run through. Jose Santos quite prepared to go around horses. He's a good 4 wide here, but rather go the far route and not get in trouble than try to save ground at the rail and not get through. Now you see his arms as he starts to push hard on Chief Bearheart, and Chief Bearheart so willingly pins those ears back now and comes with a tremendous run here. Jose Santos in perfect rhythm with him. Out on the lead is Flag Down in the blue cap, and the German filly running a big one, Borgia on the inside. Now this horse is flat out Chief Bearheart, urged along by Jose Santos, perfectly balanced, and at the wire Chief Bearheart over an ultra game filly there, Borgia. Just a perfect ride and a perfect win by Chief Bearheart of Canada. Tom?
All right, Trevor, and there is a pattern at work here. Earlier, Elmhurst, a son of Wild Again, won. Chief's Crown is the sire of this winner, Chief Bearheart. Both Chief's Crown and Wild Again won here at Hollywood Park on the first day, 1984. Let's go to Mike for the presentation.
All right, thanks, Tom. And we're with Ernie Samuels' daughter, Tammy, and this really has to be special for you, for your father. Also in here, Jose Santos. He's got his kids with him. Trainer Mark Frostad, Tammy's husband here, and making the presentation, Mr. R.D. Hubbard, of course, the chairman of the board and the CEO here at fabulous Hollywood Park.
Thank you very much. Today was a great day. We've got a great crowd, and I think everybody just had a great time. I mean, it's so great to get them in and get them in their seats without any hassle and get the money into the windows, and we're going to set a record.
That's right. And how about this win for Chief Bearheart?
Oh, I tell you, that was a great ride, and I tell you, I was a little bit excited. I had a little bit on him.
And let's give the trophy here to Tammy.
Tammy.
And Tammy, as I said before, it's very heavy. Be careful. All right. And this has to be a special moment for you. How about your father? He's at home watching?
Dad's at home watching, and we're absolutely thrilled for him. The whole family's there. We're celebrating a family birthday, and an incredible day for us.
Oh, that's just great. It's got to be such a special moment for your dad.
It is. I would imagine that probably the screaming we heard was Dad from home.
All right. And Mark, what happened with this horse in the paddock runway when you were saddling him? He went nuts. I was standing there with Jose, almost ran over us. We had to bail out.
Well, he was he got a little excited today, and the crowd and so on, and he threw himself around a little bit, but we got the tack on him. Once that was on, he was fine.
I mean, he just ran such a superb race. Jose, I was talking to you before. This horse was beaten in this race last year. It's the only race he ever finished out of the money, but how much better is he this year than he was last year?
Definitely. He's 10 lane better now, and you know, he's a super horse. I've been riding him 7 times and win 5 races, 2 seconds with him, and he's been a wonderful horse, you know, and I really want to congratulate Mark. He did a wonderful job with this horse, and want to thank the owner, you know, to keep me in the horse, and the special thank God, you know, we're here, and we did it.
Just a great job all around, and again, congratulations to Ernie Samuel. He deserves it. Tom?
Does indeed, Mike. The official order of finish in the Breeders' Cup Turf: Chief Bearhart, Borgia, flag down. Rajput was within striking distance, but came up empty in the stretch run, finishing 6th. Up Smile was 7th. Val's Prince, Awad just didn't fire today. Majorien and Dance Design completing the field. Well, one race is left. It's the big one. $4.4 million on the line. Skip Away on the current odds at 2-1. Deputy Commander at 9-2. One of the 3-year-olds. Touch Gold, another 3-year-old. Like Skip Away at 2-1. Whiskey Wisdom at 10. Barron's another 3-year-old at 5-2. It sets up as a high drama in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Somewhat as experienced already today by Jose Santos. After all that happened before the race, who would have guessed it would turn out fine? Back to Hollywood Park after these messages from your local station. Well, Hollywood known for its stars, and they've been out today at Hollywood Park. In fact, it's been a formful afternoon. 4 favorites have won so far. Countess Diana, Spinning World, Favorite Trick, and then Chief Bearhart just a few moments ago. So 4 of the 6 races have gone to favorites. That looks good for Skip Away or Touch Gold. They're both at 2-1. Deputy Commander at 9-2. Whiskey Wisdom given some chance at 10-1. And Barron's now a 3-1 shot in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Well, you can't think about the Breeders' Cup Classic without recalling the great Cigar. Even though he didn't win it last year, he was the big story, and the year before that, he was just incomparable, as I think Tom Durkin called it in the race call in his win in the Breeders' Cup Classic. On the track, it seemed he was nearly invincible, but at least so far in the breeding shed, Cigar has only been blowing smoke.
Like in the Bible, God says, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you the greatest racehorse of all time.
A singular champion, except when it comes to making whoopee.
He's going to be hard to replace, that's all I can say.
Maybe downright impossible, even to reproduce, as the Paulsons discovered when they sent Cigar to stud in Kentucky last fall. The estimated stud fee, $75,000 a mare. The expectations, tremendous.
Everybody wanted him to reproduce. I mean, the world was looking forward to it. I was having a perfume made for him, Cigar perfume. So, I mean, everybody had this big future for him.
But the stud on the track was a dud in the breeding shed. A $25 million failure. That's what the insurance company paid on the infertility policy.
It was very obvious from the first day we looked at his semen that there was nothing moving, and there wasn't an awful lot we could do at that point.
Dr. McCarthy continues to search for signs of life in delicate places. Today, scientists on 3 continents consult on the case and even receive some unsolicited advice.
I had a fellow from China call, and there was an acupuncturist from China that wanted to come and look at the horse. They needed a videotape of the horse, 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other side, the horse walking away from me, and wanted the videotape sent before he could actually decide how the horse was going to be treated.
While the media spotlights Cigar's inability to get mares in foal, those closest to him realize his true legacy and find it hard to stay away.
I went to see him about a month ago. I could see a happy horse. Saw a champion. Thought about everything that he had done, not only for me and my family, but American racing and racing worldwide. I mean, he put the spotlight on us for a while.
He had a charisma. He had a way of capturing your attention and your heart and soul, actually. And I think he not only did it with the people that are around him, but all of America.
Jerry Bailey's right. He did have charisma. He gave us some great memories. I think he's one of racing's all-time best. And the hope is they can get him straightened out so we can see that legacy passed on to his offspring. They haven't given up hope yet. Well, the Breeders' Cup Classic, the horses are in the paddock for the Classic. The race this year will be worth $4.4 million thanks to the supplemental payment from Sonny Hine and Carolyn Hine, the owners of Skipaway. Here are the odds. Skipaway is at 2-1, and so is Touch Gold. Deputy Commander is a 9-2 shot. Takai Blizzard, by the way, 25-1 from Japan. Whiskey Wisdom at 10. Savinio 70-1. Barron's at 3, and Doughty in the Paulson colors that were worn so well by Cigar and others at 45-1. That's the gray horse, Skippy, as they call him around the stable. And he doesn't look too happy at the moment. John Veach, about this time, I think these horses know it's time to get down to business, don't they?
Yeah, they certainly do, Tom, particularly the older veterans that have done it many, many times. They know when things change, and a routine, the secret of training a horse is to keep a very strict routine. And you have to break that routine when you bring them over here to the races in the afternoon. And they certainly know where they're going when they put that bridle on them.
Well, there are many wide open chances for Horse of the Year. Skipaway is one. Gentleman who had a fever, missed some training, didn't make the Breeders' Cup is one. Silver Charm would certainly be a candidate. Favorite Trick off his performance today. This race may decide it. Let's go to Bob Newmeyer in the paddock.
All right, Tom Hammond, thank you very much. I'm around Touch Gold. He's being saddled by David Hoffman's right now just behind me. He is also a Horse of the Year candidate. Earlier in the year, he had the horrible trip in the Preakness Stakes. Then he won the Belmont in electrifying fashion. The same thing, the Haskell at Monmouth, but he too has had an injury. He had a foot problem. He ran miserably at the Meadowlands. They attributed that to the hard track down in New Jersey. But David Hoffman's is holding that this horse can turn it around today. When he's at his best, Touch Gold is as good as there is in this game. His style is that he likes to lay a little bit off the pace. He has an electrifying move that he likes to trigger around the 3/8 pole. If he is right, he has an excellent chance of winning this Breeders' Cup Classic. Touch Gold. Let's go to Mike Battaglia.
Okay, thanks, Bob. And standing behind me and putting the saddle right now on Deputy Commander is Wally Delassie. And as Wally cinches up the girth on him, he's had a little bit of bad luck thus far in the Breeders' Cup with Jewel Princess and Helmsman. Jewel Princess and Helmsman both were eased. And Wally, can you give us a little report on Jewel Princess?
Well, Jewel Princess is fine. She probably has a little bit of cartilage damage to her ankles. That's what we're thinking, possibly. But she's fine, so there's no problem there. And this is her last race anyway. And Corey felt that she didn't feel 100% down the stretch, so he went ahead and said that's enough.
How about Helmsman?
Helmsman actually got a high bow. He must have hurt himself after the race. He finished the race fine, and on the backside, he took a bad step. So, and it looks like he's got a high bow.
Now, this horse, Deputy Commander, just looks great. This could really make your day. This could really make up for Jewel Princess and Helmsman with a big effort by Deputy Commander. How good is he? How much better is he than, say, a few months ago as a three-year-old?
Already you can see it right now. He's standing here quietly, and he would never do that before. And in the Travers, he was all over the place, and actually he was pretty bad in the Super Derby. But he's maturing into a tremendous horse, I think. And I think he ought to run a big race today.
How about his speed? Is he going to go to the front?
No, I think I'd love to see Skipaway do that, and we'll sit right behind him.
Sit right on him on the outside. All right, Wally, good luck. Tom?
All right, Mike. They're a trio of three-year-old challengers for last year's three-year-old champion, Skipaway today. Here's another one, Barron's. The 8-horse is Barron's, who there's a little bit of a subplot involved with this horse, too. He'll be ridden today by Jerry Bailey. Now, Bailey replaced Shane Sellers on Skipaway at the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Skipaway had a wonderful performance in that race, but Bailey was already committed to Barron's. So Skipaway will be piloted by Mike Smith today. And there is Skipaway.
Hey, baby.
And I kind of agree with Bob Newmeyer. When Touch Gold is right, and that's the question mark, he is as good as any horse in training. John Veach, that race that he had in the Preakness, won by Silver Charm, was amazing. He had 3 problems, any one of which would have almost eliminated any chance, and still ran a great race, beating, what, about a length and a half?
He certainly did, and that shows great courage and concentration for a horse to be able to do that. And certainly, you know, coming back the way he has since then, it's been remarkable. And to me, he looks as if he is as good a horse as any horse in this race, and I saw him the other day, and he's just absolutely blossomed. All
right, Touch Gold, there he is, the 3-year-old who will draw a lot of votes for 3-year-old champion, or will it be Silver Charm, or will one of them be Horse of the Year? Skip Away at 2-1. Touch Gold's also at 2-1. Co-favorites at the moment, with Byrne's not far behind. Just about 15 minutes till post time for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Not much change in the odds. Skip Away and Touch Gold at 2-1. 3-1 on Byrne's. And this will be the third renewal of the Breeders' Cup Classic at Hollywood Park, and to live up to the first two would really be something. In 1984 and again in 1987, those races were, well, classics.
Prestigious race right off the bat, especially with the way the first year finished off.
Wild again, desperately holding on to the lead. Fluid Gold is right there in between horses. Gate Dancer on the outside. What a finish. Wild again. Gate Dancer, Fluid Gold in between them. Those three in a dramatic finish. And here's the wire. Wild again.
3 champion horses hitting the wire together in the fashion they did really enabled the Breeders' Cup to lift itself to great prominence right off the bat.
But in this inaugural classic, there was controversy. The 3 contenders bumping throughout the stretch. The stewards reviewed the situation right before our eyes.
The inside horse kept going out, and then the second horse started coming in at the end. And we made a lot of contact. You know, I could do nothing about it. He was just bouncing around back and forth.
It seemed like an eternity as we were standing there on the track waiting, and then they reversed the order of finish, left me up, Wild Against Number up, and reversed the order of finish with Gate Dancer and Slew of Gold, made the race official, and it was just a tremendous feeling.
1987 saw an unprecedented matchup of Kentucky Derby winners. Ferdinand with 56-year-old Bill Shoemaker and Ali Sheba with Chris McCarron. The public got the drama they were hoping for. Shoemaker kept Ferdinand close to the pace. He was biding his time, then took the lead in the stretch. But the charge of Ali Sheba was inevitable.
I held him as long as I could, and I finally said, well, I better let him run now. I could hear that horse coming. And he just opened up about a half a length on the lead horse, threw his ears up and started to ease up. I said, uh-oh, maybe I made my move too soon, you know.
Ali Sheba on the outside, Ferdinand, Judge Angelucci on the outside, Ali Sheba. Ferdinand has the lead, Ali Sheba, a final surge. The 2 Derby winners hit the wire together. Ferdinand and Ali Sheba in a dramatic photo finish in the world's richest horse race.
After the wire, we both raised up, and he asked me, he said, what do you think? And I said, oh, shoot, I don't know. It's too close for me to call. And I said, well, you want to save? He said, yeah, I'll save 5. I said, make it 10. He said, okay. So when he put my number, I had to give him 10 grand.
Well, I guess we better ask our former jockey, Greg McCarron, what did Shoe mean when he said they decided to save?
Well, Tom, I'll tell you, that's a little thing that we'll do every now and again, that if you don't know who has won, you might want to split the pot or just, you know, give the one jock a little bit of something, just so you don't lose everything. You know, it's usually just done as a joke, though, but that's what it means, just if you want to save some money.
All right. And they're on the track for the Classic, and there is Skip Away, or Skippy, as Carolyn Hine calls him. Sonny Hine, one of those loquacious racetrack characters you'd never guess he worked for the FBI and is a State Department investigator, or that he speaks Mandarin Chinese. Last year, when Skip Away was the 3-year-old champion, the Hines balked at the supplemental fee. This year, they put up the $480,000. Skip Away, by the way, has won or placed in 17 consecutive stakes at 9 different tracks, and a win would push his earnings past $7 million. Number 2, Honor Glide. Owner Robert Shadle has long been involved with show horses, introduced to thoroughbreds by trainer Jim Day, a former Canadian Olympic show jumper. Honor Glide was also pre-entered in the mile, but chose the Classic, despite the fact that all his races have been on the grass. Number 3 is Deputy Commander. This colt has 9 different owners, a partnership formed by trainer Wally DeLossie. He's been a late developer, missing the Triple Crown to come on and win the Travers and the Super Derby. Should go to the front or close to it. Likes Hollywood Park, likes the distance. Number 4, Tai-K Blizzard, representing Japan and ridden by that country's top jockey, Yukio Okabe. this Kentucky-bred son of Seattle Slew, was last in the '96 Classic. Said he didn't like the track surface at Woodbine, and he has been at Hollywood since September 22nd to make sure he adapts this time. Number 5 is Touch Gold, who continues to battle that recurring foot problem for trainer David Hoffmans, who upset Cigar with Alphabet Soup in last year's Classic. As we said, when he's right, Touch Gold might be the best horse in training. That Preakness was a rough start, just beaten by Silver Charm. He also won the Haskell in the Belmont, though, and then lost to Barron's in the Pegasus. Needs some pace to run after. A win would earn serious consideration for 3-year-old champion and horse of the year. Whiskey Wisdom is the 6, and you're looking for an omen. Well, this colt sire is Wild Again, who won the first Classic here at Hollywood at 35-1. And in the category of Day, Deja Vu, Pat Day was the jockey. This colt unbeaten, 5 lifetime starts, but not against a group as good as this. 7 is Savinio. Alex Solis is the jockey on Savinio, another Cobra Farm horse, hoping to peak at the right time, second in 3 graded stakes this year. Number 8, Barron's, ridden by Jerry Bailey, who's won the Classic 4 of the last 6 times. Of course, Bailey rode Skip Away to that big win in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, but committed to this 3-year-old Barron's, winner of the Dwyer and the Pegasus. Number 9 is Dowdy. Alan Paulson and Bill Mott try to win another race, taking a shot with this horse, who has raced exclusively on grass this year, winning twice. And there's the field for the $4.4 million Breeders' Cup Classic, the richest race ever run in North America. Will it be Skip Away, or will it be one of the 3-year-olds? They'll go 1.25 miles to find out, and we'll be back after this from your local station. 14th Breeders' Cup, Hollywood Park, 1 race remaining, the $4.4 million Breeders' Cup Classic. Skip Away and Touch Gold continue to be 2-to-1 shots. Actually, Skip Away in the betting is slightly favored. A little more money wagered on Skip Away than on Touch Gold, and Barron's rules as the 3rd choice at 3-to-1. And there he is, Skip Away. Actually, his last name should be Hine, because he's become one of the family.
Well, she loves the horse, my wife. She lives and breathes the horse. The horse knows her. I know it seems strange, but whenever she's around, the horse always acts a little kinder to her than he does anybody else.
Yeah, you're my good boy. Yeah, you're my good boy. Mommy loves you.
Skippy has touched my heart. I've owned horses for 35 years. And there's just something different about him. I'll talk to him.
She's the owner. He's the trainer. No kids, but they do have a 4-year-old named Skip Away. Carolyn calls him Skippy. Sonny calls him Horse of the Year.
He's been an iron horse for us. He never backed down. He's running every tough race. It's like going to the bank when you run.
Good thing, since Skip Away cost them nearly $500,000 to supplement into the Classic. But with a rules change, if Skip Away finishes 3rd, the Hines will break even. Better than that, and they'll show a profit.
Skippy earned his way here. He paid for his trip here, because in the Jockey Gold Cup, he got $518,000, and it only cost me $480,000, so to supplement him.
Oh, she was ahead of me. She was ready. She said we owe it to the horse. And like she said, we got to go out there and kick butts. That's the exact words she used.
They're a team in this business, and the business has become a family passion.
In 35 years, we've never had a vacation. We've never taken 3 days off. We've never had a honeymoon. I love my husband, and I love the business.
Keeping it in the family, just as they did a decade ago, winning with Skip Away's sire, Skip Trial. Today, they hope the son captures the Classic and skips town as Horse of the Year. And Skip Away is the slight favorite here at Hollywood Park, approaching the Breeders' Cup Classic. Meanwhile, our 2 handicappers finally break through. Battaglia is only 1 for 6. He had Chief Bearheart. Newmeyer's had 2 winners, but look at this. They still trail our MSNBC Cyber handicappers. They are 3 for 6.
Well, Tom, I look at it this way. We trail by 1. It's the 9th inning. We got to get a rally going. If the Marlins can do it,
We can do it. Let's hit one out.
Classic. Go ahead.
Let's hit one out. I'll tell you who I like. I like Deputy Commander, and he's a pretty good price right now at 9-2. Taking a look at Deputy Commander. We heard Wally DeLassy say this is an improving 3-year-old. Here he is winning the Travers, a very game performance. He's the only horse who has started here at Hollywood Park, and he's 2 for 2 at the distance of 1.25 miles. So I really think that he's a live horse at a good price.
Well, we have 3 nice 3-year-olds in this race, Michael, no doubt, but I'm going to go to that old campaigner himself, Skip Away. He lost a couple of races to Formal Gold at Belmont Park, but Formal Gold was in razor-sharp condition. I think this guy has got the tactical speed. He has been terrific all year long, and I look for Skip Away from the #1 post position to win the Classic here at Hollywood Park for Carolyn and Sonny Hine. But I know, Mike, that people want to kind of close their eyes and maybe envision how this race might be run. So let's go to the virtual racetrack again.
You think we can do that? Let's take a look first at how I think the race is going to be run on the run down the back stretch. And although I did talk to Wally DeLassy, he says, I don't want to be in front. Well, I got Deputy Commander in front of Skip Away. I got Byrne's laying right off of those horses. And at this point, I got Touch Gold pretty far back.
I don't think so, Mike. My half-mile pole scenario looks like this. The long shot Whiskey Wisdom hustled to the lead under Pat Day, and Mike Smith a cagey second in the 2-path with Skip Away. The 3-year-old's ready to pounce.
All right, as they move into the turn, this is the way I see it. Deputy Commander still in front. I think Skip Away will be stuck down along the inside. I don't think he'll be too far back at this point. Barons and Touch Gold now will be mounting that late rally that he's so noted for.
I don't think so, because by this time, Whiskey Wisdom will have disappeared. Skip Away will have spurted out to about a 2 or 3 length lead. Again, the chase between Deputy Commander, Barons, and Touch Gold.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we don't agree so far, we can't possibly agree on the finish of this race, but I've got a wire-to-wire score from Deputy Commander. I think he loves this racetrack. I think Touch Gold will be flying at the end, but may not get the pace he needs, and I think Skip Away will be right there, but I think he'll be third.
Nope. Skip Away will continue to draw off through the lane. He will win this Classic. The only question, who will run second? I like Barons to finish second, Touch Gold third. So that's the way how we shape up the Classic. The picks go like this for our final race of the day.
I like Deputy Commander, and I think that Barons could be a sleeper, but solid in here. I like Deputy Commander a lot, Bob.
Carolyn and Sonny Hine go get the money. Tom?
All right, Mike Battaglia should know that there's been only one wire-to-wire winner. Black Tie Affair in 1991 set the slowest fractions in the history of the race. And for Sonny Hine, Skip Away should be well placed. 10 winners were either first or second at the top of the stretch. By the way, our cyber handicappers like the 3-year-old Touch Gold. I don't know, I'd go with them based on their record so far. There is Skip Away. Can he be Horse of the Year? Let's go to Trevor Denman.
Well, having a look at them in the paddock here, I really did like the look of Skip Away out there. It's the first time I've actually seen Skip Away in the flesh, and he was just so relaxed and calm out there. He didn't let anything bother him. And of course, 1.25 miles, you need to conserve that energy. And looking at horse flesh, you just have to be impressed by Skip Away. But of course, these are the greatest horses in the world, and a number of them look very good. Touch Gold is ready to run a huge one today. Whiskey Wisdom is as fit as he can possibly be. Whether he has the class, I don't know, but he's certainly ready to fire today. And the Japanese horse Taiki Blizzard, they've prepared him to the hour here. He's ready to run. But there's the guy that's really impressive, is Skip Away. In fact, you see him getting up on his toes just a little now. That's a great sign too, because he knows, okay, it's action time. He was almost dozing off in the paddock, but you see now he's starting to shake his head around. He's the #1 horse there with the jockey with the red cap, and that's a great attitude. Skip Away is just one professional racehorse. There you see the ears. He knows it's game time right now, and Skip Away really wins the heart, if not the race this afternoon, and maybe he will just do both of those, because he is ready to run big. And as we said, he has his game face on right now. Can he beat Touch Gold? It's a tremendous matchup. Tom?
Well, there is Skip Away. He does look calm and cool, John Veach. Honor Glide just behind him was a little lathery on a hot afternoon, but Skip Away looks very professional.
He certainly does, and he is the most proven horse in the field. He's run 3 excellent races this year, but I hate to disagree with our 2 proven handicappers, and I think that Touch Gold may have the opportunity to be the best today. He certainly loves his place, and he really looks at the top of his game.
All our handicappers have proven is that they don't know what they're doing, I'd say, based on their results.
Well, they've been very consistent, Tom, and that's the mark of a great man.
All right. Greg McCarron, one final report pre-race from you. Anything untoward going on with these horses for the Classic?
Well, Tom, the only one that really is on his toes, or maybe on edge, actually, is the 4-horse, Tyke Blizzard. I watched him being saddled in the paddock, and he was kicking both sides, try to kick the valet one side, try to kick the trainer the other side. And the whole time during the post parade, they've tried to settle him, but he's just been bouncing and bouncing and really giving the pony boy a hard time. The rest of them, Tom, are acting really well, and I hope John's right.
Touch Gold, of course, ridden by Greg's brother, Chris McCarron. But there is Skip Away, magnificent looking as he enters the gate as the 9-5 favorite. Touch Gold, just a slight second choice. Then Barron's, then Deputy Commander. Horse of the Year hangs in the balance, perhaps. Let's go to Tom Durkin for the call of the $4.4 million Breeders' Cup Classic.
The richest race ever run. And they're moving into line. And there is Whiskey Wisdom with Pat Day aboard. He had a big moment earlier today with Favorite Trip. There's Savinio. And on the outside, Barron's. Jockey Jerry Bailey will be aloft him, and to his outside, Doughty races in the colors of Alan Paulson. We had a Gina in the distaff today. Doughty moves in line, ready for the start of the Breeders' Cup Classic. In the rough, it's Skip Away. He came out in stride. Whiskey Wisdom is there. Honor Glide and Deputy Commander right up there. And those four scrimmaging for the lead. Traffic trouble early for Touch Gold. Four of them moving into the clubhouse, turn together from the rail out. It's Skip Away, Honor Glide, Deputy Commander, Whiskey Wisdom hunt out there 4 wide. Tyke Blizzard in behind the lead, running in 4th. Then Savinio 5th, Barron's wide into the turn 6th. Touch Gold is running in 7th, trying to take hold of the track here. He's about 7 or 8 lengths from the lead. It's a break of another 5 back to Doughty, who's coming from off the pace today, and they make their way into the backstretch. Deputy Commander and Honor Glide sharing the lead. The quarter in 22 2/5 seconds. Torrid pace early. Touch Gold's on the move. On the outside, and Skip Away looks to come on through and split horses. An early move by Skip Away to the front. Skip Away is the leader. The opening half mile in 46 1/5 seconds. It's Skip Away taking charge midway down the back stretch, and he strides away from Deputy Commander by 2.5 lengths. Whiskey Wisdom running 3rd with the half mile to go. Touch Gold is 4th on the outside. Chris McCarron gives him a nudge, but in the meantime, Skip Away with a powerhouse performance here. He is pulling away on the turn to a 4.5 length lead. Deputy Commander is 2nd by 4. Whiskey Wisdom running in 3rd. Doughty is racing in 4th. Touch Gold not today. He's plummeting to the back of the pack. In the meantime, it is Skip Away in command of the Classic as they turn for home. A 4.5 length lead. Deputy Commander is in a complete full-out drive, but he's a non-threatening 2nd. Whiskey Wisdom is 3rd. Doughty is 4th. The others left in the powerful wake of an awesome performance in the Classic. It is Skip Away who crushed the opposition today. He wins by 5.5 lengths, and the final time was 1:15 flat. And an absolutely jubilant Mike Smith aboard the winner. And a kiss for the owner, Carolyn Klein. Carolyn and Sonny, hey, you've won the Breeders' Cup Classic to the tune of a $4.4 million purse. Maybe you can go on that honeymoon now.
Oh, Skippy, you did it for Carolyn Hine. What a performance. Skip Away, brilliant in victory today. And with that win in the Breeders' Cup Classic, he passes Ali Sheba, John Henry, and Best Pal to become the 2nd all-time money-winning thoroughbred in North America. $6.876 million, trailing only Cigar. Look at this. Skip Away, even though he's all by himself, is powering under Mike Smith. And Mike Smith, who got the ride through a strange set of circumstances, must be saying, wow, did I luck into something here? He's coming to the wire, and as has been the case all day, the Hollywood Park trap lightning fast. He will come to the line in a Breeders' Cup Classic record, 1:59 flat for the 1.25 miles. Mike Smith and Skip Away, heroes of the moment, there with Greg McCarron.
Yeah, Tom, thanks. Mike, what a pickup mount, huh?
Oh, I never dreamed that a kid from New Mexico could do something like this. Isn't that something? Dreams come true, kids.
Mike, he really exploded for you halfway down the backside when you set him in between horses.
Oh, he really did. You know, I eased him back off the Looked like them two was going to hook up, so I said I didn't want to go three. Three of us head and head. I eased back. Corey eased his horse out to kind of get him to relax, and what he did, Skippy wanted to take the game to him, so I let him. After that, it was pretty much just all him.
And all the way through the lane, it was just all him, you say?
It certainly was. I gave him a few little taps. I'll tell you why, because that old crowd let a roar like I ain't never heard, man. And when they did that, Skippy kind of looked up. And once I got after him, he got right up out of his business. I just had rode him on in, Greg.
Mike, I'm real happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank the Lord.
All righty. Back to you, Tom.
Well, Mike Smith inherited the mount. Shane Sellers had been the regular rider on Skip Away. Sonny Hine not pleased with some of his efforts, so for the Jockey Cup Gold Cup, he replaced him with Jerry Bailey, and Skip Away had before today his best race. However, Bailey was committed to Byrne's for the Classic. He upheld that commitment, so Mike Smith inherited the mount, and did he ever look good today. Now, there is an inquiry posted regarding the 3rd and 4th place finishers, Whiskey Wisdom and Doughty. But unofficially, it will be Skip Away, Deputy Commander, and Whiskey Wisdom awaiting the results of the inquiry. Doesn't involve the winner, though. Skip Away, all by himself at the wire. Did he ever look good today? Mike Smith with a look towards the heavens.
The 14th running of the Breeders' Cup is brought to you by Alberto VO5 for great hair. VO5 does so much. By the all-new Park Avenue by Buick, the power of understatement. And by Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop.
As promised, it has been a day of high drama at Hollywood Park. Breeders' Cup 14, and no performances better than that one. Mike Smith aboard Skip Away. A dominating performance in the Classic as he becomes the second leading money winner of all time, trailing only Cigar, who was right at $10 million. This puts Skip Away just below $7 million for his career.
Hey, folks.
And Carolyn Hine, her beloved Skippy, how did she watch the race? She knew everything was going to come up great. She knew it all along.
Come on, Skip! Come on, Skip! Come on, Skip! 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 Skip!
You know what? It wasn't the money. You saw what it meant to Carolyn and Sonny Hine. They put up $480,000 to run. They got back a $2.2 million payday, but it wasn't the money. It was the emotion from her beloved Skippy, son of their own Skip Trial, who they had raced as well. The inquiry involving 3rd and 4th place has been resolved, and the order has been reversed. Doughty has been moved up from 4th to 3rd, and Whiskey Wisdom disqualified from 3rd to 4th. But as we said, it did not involve the winner Skip Away at all. He was too far ahead. John Veach, you've seen a lot of Breeders' Cup performances, a lot of great racehorses in action. As we said earlier about Favorite Trick, that's about as dominating a performance as you'll see.
It certainly was. I thought that Mike Smith moved much too quickly, going to the lead when they ran 3/4 and 9 and 109 and some change, you know, but I thought it was a tactical error because a horse that moves that quickly can run out of gas awfully quick when they turn for home. But he knew his horse, and he certainly felt that the horse had it in him, and he certainly did. And I'll eat some crow because I thought Touch Gold would do it, but Skip Away's a man today, and I believe he's going to be Horse of the Year.
Well, it'll certainly be an interesting ballot between Favorite Trick and Skip Away, and given the fact that 2-year-olds don't often get the nod, it may indeed go to the big gray, Skip Away. Look at the back of Sonny Hine's coat, drenched in sweat, and why not? Mike Smith with a hug from Carolyn Hine, and Skip Away proving his detractors wrong as he came home in a big way. And Bob Newmeyer, by the way, picked him. Newmeyer did indeed, as he predicted he would, finish strong and wound up with 3 winners on the day. So Mike Smith claims his 8th Breeders' Cup victory, trailing now only Pat Day, who has 9, and had 2 victories this afternoon at Gina and Skip Away. Mike Smith Skip Away is the hero of the hour. So are the Hinds, and here's Mike Battaglia.
Thanks, Tom. And Tom Hammond made the comment that when they were coming down the stretch, Sonny and Carolyn, it was not the money, it was pure emotion from you two.
Never was the money with us.
No. How about you, Carolyn? You were just going crazy, calling his name Skip, Skip, Skippy.
He touches my heart. I can't talk.
We almost didn't come because after we nominated, that gentleman came out in formal gold, but then we were committed. But I don't know if we didn't come out if they had run, you know.
Well, we're glad that you did. And to make the trophy presentation, Mr. D.G. Van Cleef, the president of Breeders' Cup Limited. D.G.
Right. Carolyn and Sonny, we're glad you came out. That was a fantastic performance. Mike, a great ride. What a show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's heavy.
It's very heavy, guys. And and Mike Smith. Mike, there's a lot of people who thought maybe you were moving too quick, but when this horse he just shot by, you made the lead and just opened up, and he won so easily.
I followed instructions, and I tell you, it wasn't that I moved too soon. It was that I had no choice. Skip wanted to take me to it, and so I just kind of let him. Sonny told me break well, ask him about 50 yards out there, ease him back. When you head down the backside, let him start running. I couldn't even keep him from it. Like I said, he just drugged me around there. I want to give all the credit to Mr. and Mrs. Hines and his crew. They did an absolutely unbelievable job with this horse. Thank you.
And Sonny he's run so many great races. Today, I just have to think this is the best performance of his career.
It was a great race. I thought the day he beat Cigar was a great race. You know, he's had some real good races. The Suburban, although the time was bad, was a phenomenal race. And I'd like to say a couple things. Shane Sellers is a great rider. And the only reason we changed the horse was that the horse was getting very complacent. I even changed the exercise rider and almost changed the groom because the horse gets complacent. Everything gets old after a while, but Shane's a great rider.
I'm glad to hear you say that about Shane. And of course, Jerry Bailey in his last ride. Jerry Bailey did a wonderful job.
Oh, Jerry, I think was a little heartbroken, but he's a gentleman. He honored his call on the other horse. But I know deep down he really went with Skippy.
And how about next year? We're going to get to see him again, right?
Oh, yeah, we intend to run him as long as he's competitive. We're enjoying him.
Great. All right, Tom.
All right, Skip Away, the 5th favorite to win today. He is a 4-year-old colt by Skip Trial from Ingot Way by Diplomat Way, bred in Florida by Anna Marie Barnhart. You see Dowdy moved up to 3rd on the disqualification. And here's what happened. You see Whiskey Wisdom coming out, interfering with Dowdy. Drifting out, even though the jockey is hitting him with the right-hand whip, trying to keep him straight. Pat Day could not keep him straight, and Whiskey Wisdom disqualified from 3rd to 4th as Dowdy moves up. But all the talk here is for the popular gray Skip Away. The 3-year-old deputy commander, a game 2nd. Touch Gold couldn't handle the track today. He finishes last. Mike Smith, wonderful job on Skip Away. 14 is in the books from Hollywood Park, and the race for Horse of the Year to be decided in the ballot box. Let's poll our guys now and see who they'd vote for. John Beach.
Tom, you couldn't ask a 2-year-old favorite Trick to do any more than he did. He won every race. But at the 3/4 poll today, Skip Away sealed all doubt. He is Horse of the Year.
I'm going to put my vote in for Skip Away, too. Let's go to Tom Durkin.
Well, if you're going to give the Horse of the Year award to a 2-year-old, it's kind of like giving the Cy Young Award to a high school pitcher. I go with Skip Away. Let's go to Newmeyer.
How can you argue against perfection? 8 runs, 8 wins. Electrifying in the Breeders' Cup. Throw out the prejudice against 2-year-olds. Favorite Trick should be Horse of the Year. Michael?
And I am in complete agreement with Mr. Newmeyer. I just think that an unbeaten season should be rewarded. Skip Away was great, but I'm going for Favorite Trick. Trevor?
Favorite Trick had it until the half-mile pole. Skip Away with condescending ease. There's no doubt he's the best horse in America, perhaps the world right now. Undoubtedly Skip Away. Bad luck for Favorite Trick. Tom?
And so the 14th annual running of the Breeders' Cup is history. Breeders' Cup 14 at Hollywood Park, and no town embraces winners more passionately than Hollywood. Today, a story worthy of a screenplay. Countess Diana gave Patrick Byrne a dream debut in the Breeders' Cup. The Irishman now finding his fortunes as a trainer and joining the racing world's elite. Byrne's Favorite Trick was the winner in the Juvenile, finishing the year undefeated 8 for 8 and making a loud bid for Horse of the Year. And today we were reintroduced to trainer Janine Sahadi and jockey Corey Nakatani. They teamed up again for back-to-back victories in the sprint, a partnership renewed. In the turf, the favorite, Chief Bearheart, with a heartfelt stretch run. Nearby, a family cheered and paused to remember those far away and thanked others for a job well done. In the distaff, Jewel Princess valiantly tried to repeat. Mike Smith's 7th Breeders' Cup title came aboard at Gina. An even greater victory would await him in the Classic. Europe's hopes fulfilled by Spinning World's victory in the mile. And then it was Skippy. Skip Away, brilliant in the Breeders' Cup Classic, perhaps cementing his bid to be Horse of the Year. The highlight of Breeders' Cup 14 from Hollywood Park, the brilliance of Mike Smith and Skip Away. This is Tom Hammond for our entire crew saying so long from Hollywood Park.
Notre Dame football, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the National Football League, and the Super Bowl, and the 2000, 2002, and 2004 Olympic Games, all on America's sports leader, NBC.